Hello and welcome to part 3, we'll call it. Part 3 here of our Brothers War limited set review. I'm, of course, joined by the one and only Alex Nikolic, aka Quarter Calls from the Limited Level Ups podcast. We did commons and uncommons yesterday. If you missed that, that's up on our YouTube channel, Lords of Limited YouTube channel, and that will also be available in audio form on the Limited Level Ups podcast feed, which if you are not subscribed to, I don't know what you're doing with your life, and you should be subscribed to, and then that'll make its way into your podcast app of choice. But for now, we're looking at rares and mythics, and yes, don't you worry, don't you fret your little head. We'll be looking at those retro artifacts as well. Just like the Mystical Archive from Strixhaven, we have a retro artifact in each pack. So we'll be looking at those at the end of the review. We'll probably, if you're watching us on YouTube, we'll probably split that up into a fourth part. I haven't quite decided. We'll see how long today goes. And for folks out there in live Twitch land, ! Set review is almost certainly going to answer about 90% of the questions that we'll see folks have when they pop in. You know, why is Alex muted on the VOD? How far in are they, etc., etc. So if you're hanging out today all day, probably same as yesterday, 4-ish hours is my guess, and you see those questions, please go ahead and help folks out, as we will be seeing questions in chat, but likely not responding to them, as it just interrupts the flow of things, especially as people are watching on YouTube or listening on the podcast. So without further ado, here we are today with Rares and Mythics. First up, we're going to be looking at Deathbloom Ritualist. That's 3 black-green for a 3/5 Elf Warlock. Taps to add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard.
How do you like a 5-mana mana?
A 5-mana mana dork that may or may not tap for mana.
Yeah, it's like, here's my 3/5.
Yeah.
So this is a powerful card. You're gonna imagine situations where it's like, wow, this is making a lot of mana. But then it's like, one, what are you doing with that mana? There's a lot of stuff to do with that mana in this set, but you do have to do something. And two, like you said, this card's not always gonna be on. I imagine by the time you play this on turn 5, it'll likely tap for a mana. Most likely 2. I would say on average 2. If you've got some of the commons that mill yourself, or just like some self-mill stuff going on in general, you might even be able to like double your mana if by the time you get to this. But of course, you want to fill your deck with some prototype stuff. So this is a really good card to help you cast your big old green common 10/10 if you want to do that.
Yeah, except I don't want to put
awesome.
That feels like Egg's Basket to be. Like, I don't want to rely on drawing one card to cast my 10/10. I want my whole deck to be working towards that, and likely working towards other things. So the fact that this is not castable from Power Stones and is a little, I don't know, a little overcosted. Like, if this was 4 mana 3/5, I could be like, well, just on rate that's fine, and then everything else seems gravy. I'm pretty out on this card, I have to say.
Yeah, I don't think this is a very good card. The body's not that good. Even like the buyout of, I just play this is not
right.
That I'd be at a 3/5. So yeah, I think this is probably like a C- level card. I could even see lower, or maybe I don't know.
I'm going D on it. Like, I think even in black green decks, you'll probably struggle to find room for this.
Yeah, I think I'm going to give it like a sort of a synergy C, where if you are, or maybe synergy C+, where if you do have, you've got some self-mill and you've got a lot of top-end prototype cards, I do think this card's going to be good in your deck. But otherwise, yeah, not a very good card.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got Hajar, Loyal Bodyguard. This is the green-red rare. It's a 2-mana, green-red 3/3, human soldier. Sacrifice Hajar, Loyal Bodyguard. Legendary creatures you control get +1/+0 and gain indestructible until end of turn.
I mean, again, this is a good rate, 2-mana 3/3.
Yeah, totally.
But everything else about this card is not something I'm interested in. I mean, it's because this is not like, it's not like DMU where there was a legend in every pack, right? And so, and even this in DMU would have felt like, that's cute.
Yeah, exactly.
But here it just feels like that's just all trinkety text.
So Gruul Watchwolf. We're in Gruul Watchwolf, basically.
So that seems like a C- to me.
Yeah, C- basically. Yeah. I don't think it's a particularly exciting card. You're going to have a legend once in a while, but even still, it's like, even if you do, it's like, okay, well, I guess I protect that sometimes.
Right.
So yeah, I would just give it a C.
Next is Harbin Vanguard Aviator, white-blue for a 3/2 human soldier with flying. It's legendary. Whenever you attack with 5 or more soldiers, creatures you control get +1/+1 and gain flying until end of turn.
Yeah, so they're just... Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just think this is quite good. Like, I mean, just 2-mana 3/2 flyer on rate is very aggressively slanted. And this has like sort of oh gosh, what's the flying wheel kick or whatever from
Spinning wheel kick.
Spinning wheel kick. No, not spinning wheel kick. The flying crane technique. Thank you.
That's
thank
it.
you.
Yeah.
We're just like, if you have this and you attack with 5 soldiers, you win the game.
Yep.
Which that's sort of just like the oops, I win in the air kind of feeling you had from flying crane technique. It's not a really good analogy there, but I just think like if I see, I don't know how the set will shake out. Where if I see this pack 1 pick 1, I'm like, ooh, sick. I'd like to do a soldiers thing. Mm-hmm. That remains to be seen, but I think this card can't really be ignored that much.
I'm just in awe that they're giving us 2 mana 3/2 flyers now.
Right?
Like I'm just handing those out now.
Power
Yeah, I mean,
creep.
so it's funny, like you mentioned, maybe if you get 5 soldiers and you attack with this, you double your whole team. You're just gonna kill your opponent with this like really quickly. You play this on 2.
Oh yeah.
If it goes untouched, like you're just dealing them a ton of damage. It's fragile, mind you, but it's still really good. So extremely efficient body plus somewhat of a combo late game potential. I don't know. I think
that's a nice thing about this card is that like you can build around it,
yeah,
and not get punished for it not being in your opening hand, too, right?
Right. Yep. Totally.
Yeah.
I don't know. B minus.
Yeah, I'm inclined to give this like a B just on rate.
Cool. Yep. Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Next up, we got Legions to Ash. So this is 1 black, white for a sorcery. Exile target non-land permanent opponent controls and all tokens that player controls with the same name as that permanent.
Oh. So it's like fixed Maelstrom Pulse?
Yeah, a little bit different. Doesn't kill your stuff if you have stuff with the same name, but yeah, it'll wipe all the tokens still.
Interesting. So you can clear out their Power Stones?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I didn't even consider that.
That's pretty nasty.
That's kind of funny. Clear their Power Stones, or just like this is just like 3 mana exile something like that's just a fine rate.
That's just very good, and then there's potential to really blow out what they're doing.
Yeah, or just they made a bunch of soldier tokens. Like there is quite a few different kinds of tokens in this set, so I could easily see this just cleaning up, even like from a rare or something. So yeah, I think it's good. It's got that trinket upside with the tokens, but I think just to be.
Yeah, I think so too.
Sweet.
All right, next up is Mishra, Tamer of Makfawa. 3 black, red for a 4/4. Permanents you control have ward, sacrifice a permanent. Oof. And each artifact card in your graveyard has unearth 1 black, red.
Yeah, decent package. Just like none of those abilities is like amazing, but they're both pretty good.
Permanents you control have ward, sack a permanent is a hefty cost, I would say.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy to. You just can't 1-for-1 with Mishra unless you're dealing with it in combat. So
right.
Yeah, and so it's a little bit, it's a 5-mana 4/4, so its body is not like amazing, but yeah, that protection ability, if you don't need to block with this thing, that protection ability is quite good. And the unearth thing it's gonna come up. There's gonna be a lot of times where you're just like, all right, double unearth on turn 6 after playing Mishra, bring back my 2 4/4s or whatever, 4-mana cards. So yeah, I like this card.
Yeah, I think so too. This feels like another B to me.
Yeah, I think so. B's about right. All right, next up we got Queen Kayla Ben-Kruge. So this is 1 red, white for a 2/3. It's got this kind of weird ability. So it's 4 mana, tap it. Discard all the cards in your hand and then draw that many cards. You may choose an artifact or creature card with mana value 1 you discarded this way. Then do the same with artifact or creature cards mana value 2 and 3. Return those cards to the battlefield. So a lot of words, but 4 mana, pitch your hand, and then from the cards you pitched, you can bring them back a 1-drop, a 2-drop, and a 3-drop onto the battlefield. And you also draw a bunch of cards.
Whoa. I have truly no idea how to evaluate this card, but this is like my kind of jump through some hoops for some slight value kind of card.
Yeah, so, I think if you just, play this on turn 3, let's say you have a 2-drop and a 3-drop in hand, I think a lot of the time you're just going to be pitching your hand. It's kind of risky because, you're not always going to want to pitch all the cards in your hand. It's not an optional, you can discard these 3.
Right.
You have to pitch whatever, your expensive card in hand, your removal spell you might want to cast. But if you can go play her, untap on 4, I think a lot of the time you're just going to pitch your hand. Because you get a lot of stuff into play. Like, you're going to be spending 4 mana, likely getting, 4 to 6 mana value worth of stuff onto the battlefield. And you've drawn 2 cards in the process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm in for this card.
Yeah.
What do you want to give it?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, right? I think it's not quite a build around. You do need to make sure your curve's low, but that shouldn't be too hard. I think if you like met that requirement, she's just gonna be really solid. I could see her creeping up to like even the A-ish range, like A minus, because in the mid game too, or the late game, when you're not gonna have 2 and 3 drops in hand, just hold your lands, and you're gonna be able to cash in all those lands for spells.
The one thing I do want to note is like I do think it is a bit of a build around in the sense of if what we were talking about yesterday, or my thoughts about this, about going into the format in terms of like what I want to be doing is like things that make power stones and things that enable power stones. This doesn't really interact on that axis very well. If what you're trying to do is just accrue, is like stock up on 2 drops, 3 drops, and potentially 1 drops, I would say, if you get good ones. That I think this sort of gives you a different plan, and I wonder if I wonder if there's so there's like the Ethan approach to this card, which is like go like nothing costs more than 3 in my deck if possible.
Right.
Which does that then fail too often if you don't draw Queen Kayla or if Queen Kayla gets answered.
Mm-hmm.
And then is there just you put this card in your deck and it's fine. Man, I just got some weird deja vu. Like we've had this conversation so many times. Where you put this card in your deck and like maybe you make some slight considerations to it, but you don't need to do too much. And you can still sort of do some Power Stone-y things. And even like red and white may not even be doing Power Stone or Giant Ramp that much as some other colors, you know?
Yeah, I honestly don't think you have to worry about it too much. Like, yes, like you said, I think there's a world where you're really going deep on it, but I think you just throw this in your average red white deck, it's gonna be great.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So where do you like it?
I gave it an A minus.
A minus. Wow. Yeah. I'll go B plus. I like it.
Cool.
Okay.
All right. Next up,
Saheeli, Filigree Master, 2 blue, red for a 3 loyalty planeswalker, +1. Scry 1. You may tap an untapped artifact you control if you do draw a card. Woot. -2, create 2/1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature tokens with flying. They gain haste until end of turn. And -4, you get an emblem with artifact creatures you control get +1/+1, and artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. What?
That's cool. Yeah, that's a powerful planeswalker. Starts at kind of low loyalty, but all of her abilities are good, and that ultimate is very attainable.
Whoa. Starts at low loyalty. It's 1 away from ulting.
Sure, but I just mean like so your opponent can pressure it, right?
Yeah, but like just the times where you have this on the play and you just go uptick and then next turn emblem, it's very hard to imagine losing that game.
Yeah, she protects herself. She's got, if you can make 2 Thopters. As long as you're not like incredibly behind where your opponent's got a 2 and a 3 and you don't have anything.
Sure.
I think she's like when she comes down on 4, she's gonna be great.
But
and
then at least this is make 2 Thopters
right.
and then gain some amount of life.
Yep, totally. And then when she comes down late, you're just gonna be like, all right, draw a bunch of cards and maybe emblem her multiple times potentially.
Oh my gosh,
so,
yeah.
Really good card.
This seems like an A.
Yeah, I would give this an A as well. All right, next up we've got Sarenth Great Worms. This is 4 red green for a mythic. It's a 7/6 trample, and whenever a land enters the battlefield, create a tapped Power Stone token. Not just your lands, your opponent's lands too.
Not under your control.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know how good that is though.
Yeah, it's
like I think effectively it's a 6-mana 7/6 trample.
I think so too. You're gonna get a Power Stone once in a while,
sure.
but at that point, it's still gonna matter. It's easy to think like, oh, what does a Power Stone matter on turn 7? But you're gonna have places to put your mana. I don't think it's gonna do absolutely nothing. But yeah, I think for the most part, you're looking at this as a 6-mana 7/6 with a little bit of upside. I guess the real upside is especially because you're in red. Like the Power Stone is gonna be used for getting it sacrificed or pitching it to something. You're not actually gonna like, oh, cast my awesome cards. It's gonna be sacrifice it, use it as a resource. So that actually is something that generates a resource. So it's better than a 7/6 for 6 straight up. I think if you were to just rate 7/6 for 6, you'd give it like a C+. So I'd say this is like a B-.
Yeah, that's where I'm at too.
Cool.
All right, next up is Tawnos the Toymaker. 3 green blue for a 3/5 legendary human artificer. Whenever you cast a beast or bird creature spell, you may copy it, except the copy is an artifact in addition to its other types. Alex, do you got the stats for me?
Yeah, you know what? I usually do. I'm doing it right now. So let's see. Live. Look.
Vamp. Okay. Sorry, what I missed was the flavor text, which says,
read that.
Well, also after it says other types, it says parentheses the copy becomes a token. And then the flavor text is, don't thank me, thank nature for its wondrous designs.
Nice. All right. So first up, we're gonna do the beast count, and I think there is quite. Oh, sorry, we're doing birds first. There's a singular bird
Okay.
in the set. Okay.
At what rarity?
It is a common. It's the rock. It's the 5-mana 3/3 that flashes in, makes a power token, a power stone token.
Okay.
And beasts. All right. I think there's quite. Okay, it's just 5 beasts. There's the 4/2 that mills you for that trampling for 3, obstinate Baloth. Trench Stalker, that 5-mana Death Touch Lifelinker is a beast, and there's a rare. So not gonna really have a lot of things that you can copy in this set. 5 things.
Okay, so
6 things.
I would say no.
Yeah, no. I think like if you had some really, like this looks like a stipulation draft kind of card.
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah,
all right,
yeah.
we're doing it on week 7 of the format. I don't think this is just gonna trigger regularly. So
Yeah,
I would just give this a
D.
F, basically. Yeah,
An F?
Well,
it has power and toughness. You can
sure,
play
but it's a 5-mana 3/5. So yeah,
Right.
sure, I'll give it a D-, but
Right.
it's not gonna be a good card in the format.
for sure.
Next up, Urza, Prince of Kruge. This is 2 blue-white for a 2/3 rare. Human Artificer. Artifact creatures you control get +2/+2, and it's got an ability 6. Create a token that's the copy of target artifact you control, except it's a 1/1 soldier in addition to its other types.
This card seems sweet.
Yeah, it's just a tempered steel on legs here. That's gonna be pretty good a lot of the time, and yeah, get to the late game, put some mana into some stuff, stop making what are essentially 3/3s, right? Because you're making a 1/1, but it's a 3/3.
Right. Okay, that's a good point.
Urza.
Yeah, I like this. It's certainly B+ at least. I could see it creeping up into A- range.
Yeah, it's this one's a little bit more build aroundy because if you're playing this for 4, it's 2/3. You really want it to be pumping something by the time it turns, and ideally 2 things. So if you have Urza, if you see it in the middle of pack 2, start prioritizing the artifacts even higher. You go bump those up in your pick order a little bit just so you can actually pump stuff with this. But if you're there, this is like a B+.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
Sweet.
Great. Next up, we have Clay Champion. This is X and 4, but both are colorless. It's a 2/2 construct. It enters the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it for each 2 green spent to cast it. So if somewhere among the X and 4 is 2 green, it's a 4/4. Somewhere among the X and 4 is 4 green, it's a 6/6. When Clay Champion enters the battlefield, choose up to 2 other target creatures you control. For each white spent to cast Clay Champion, put a +1/+1 counter on each of them.
That's so much power and toughness for not a ton of mana. So let's just like break a little bit of this down. So if it's green, so 4 green, you're getting 8/8. That's good, but you're not going to happen very often. If you're spending this as like a 4-mana, let's say like if it's a little bit awkward. You can't go white, green in your green-white deck. You've got white, green. Well, that's still pretty good, right? You're gonna get a 2/2. And you put a 1/1 counter on 2 creatures. Like that's 4 mana worth of stats. So no matter what, even if you can't, like if you're a green and white deck and you can't exactly get the perfect green, white, you're still getting your money's worth for the card. And it scales. Like you said, you can put as much mana into it as you want.
But it just goes back to the question of, see, I'm not sold with, hold on. So
okay,
if you spend green on it,
yep,
then it's a 4-mana 5/5, which is like fine, and it's an artifact, and that's
yeah. If it was like green, but then it'd have to be like you're saying like a green black deck or something.
Sure. So if you get green black, or green black, whatever.
Yes.
So then it's a 5/5 for 4 mana. And it is an artifact, so that's probably going to be relevant.
And you can feel it, right? It's you can be more expensive on turn 6. Or sorry, it can be bigger on turn 6 and more expensive.
If you have 4 green, right? Yeah.
Yes. If you got
the choke point is heavy toward. You want to be heavily slanted towards one of these 2 colors, so that you. Right? It's awkward if you're like a black-green deck, but you got 7 green sources. This is not great in that deck. So I think we should grade like you are gonna get like your base green or base white. And grade appropriately, but just put that caveat there.
Yeah, and then if you're green-white, it's just excellent. Like you're like if you ever cast this for a white, green, that's an 8, right? That's just straight up like
5/5 that also dumps 2 counters.
Yeah, and if you are just, one of the colors and you can reliably get it. Like you said, I think it's probably more like a C plus or something. Actually, no, I'd give it higher than that because it does scale. So I think it's still like a B in that scenario. Yeah.
I feel like it's all, I don't know. I feel like it's a B plus probably.
This is where I think we're like it's a little bit difficult to grok just like reading it, and
Right.
like everybody in chat's like like what are the numbers in this? So to give a stamp on it, I think if you're green white, it's an 8. I think it's just like so much stats divided amongst multiple things, and it's not that hard to go green white white. I mean it's not going to do every game, but it's not that hard. And then if you are only one of these colors, a B.
Yeah. If you're only one of these colors has your base color.
Yes,
It's a
sorry.
B.
Yeah.
So I think I'm gonna go B plus.
Okay, that's great. Evens out.
Just average those out. Yeah.
Next up, we got Tokasia Dig Site Mentor. So this is 1 and Bant. So 1 green, white, blue for a 4/3. She says creatures you control have vigilance and tap surveil 1. She's also got a 8 mana ability, 2 green, white, blue. Exile Tokasia Dig Site Mentor from your graveyard. Return any number of target artifact cards with total mana value 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a lot of good stuff going on. So you play
Everything
her.
you control has vigilance and surveil 1.
That's great. Yeah, that's a really good ability. Just that
Yeah.
on its own. And then you dump stuff in. The idea is you dump stuff in your yard, and then when eventually this makes its way to the graveyard, you can bring it all back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any knock against this as 3 colors in a set where you anticipate not splashing that much?
It is. Yeah, this is it's definitely a knock against it. Where you're just there's just not that much fixing. You really do have to prioritize fixing if you take this and you're gonna play this card. You have to pick the wilds or the refractor. Is that what it's called? The
Energy refractor. Yes.
Energy refractor. That's it. It's pretty sparse, so you do have to prioritize that. But if you do, I think this is the card. This is a card worth splashing.
Yeah, I think so too. I kind of want to start. I'm gonna start B plus on Tokasia.
Yeah, I would go there too. It is tricky though because if you're splashing, like a lot of times it's like, okay, well 3, like let's say you're blue green base and you're splashing the white. Well, 3 sources for the white, right? Ideally, if you're splashing responsibly, but then you also need white to get the full value out of her ability. But maybe you don't care that much about that. Maybe that's just like gravy at that point.
Yeah, I think that is gravy at that point, and you really want to focus on the fact that you're basically for free getting to sculpt your draws / your graveyard. Like maybe you're also getting value from binning on earth creatures or whatever.
Yep, exactly.
That I think it's quite strong. Last rare mythic we have here is Blade Coil Serpent, which is X and 6. So this is very similar to the Clay Champion, but it's Grixis instead of green-white. So X and 6 for a 5/4. When it enters the battlefield, for each blue spent to cast it, draw a card. When it enters the battlefield, for each black spent to cast it, each opponent discards a card. And when it enters the battlefield, for each red spent to cast it, it gets ++0 and gains trample and haste until end of turn. Here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
As we continue to think about what the monocolored world of this format is, or near monocolored world of this format is, does seeing Blade Coil Serpent and or Clay Champion pack 1 pick 1 make you go, huh, I might be inclined to set myself up for a deck where I've got 12 plus sources of this one color?
I don't think so in particular. I think
Okay.
I think you're okay just with these cards where you're like, yeah, just like cast them, and hopefully I have the mana. Like I don't think you have to build around them too much. Because the thing is, even if you just get like, let's look at the Serpent here. Even if you just have it as like 6 mana, 5/4 draw a card. That's like not a bad card. That's totally fine for 6 mana. And then I think anything else is just like awesome past that. It's kind of like a Clay Champion, where if you only do 1, it's like in the B range. If you do have the ability to do 2, which is more likely here because you could be any combination of blue, black, and red. The card's just gonna be great. If you can give haste, if you can kick it to make your opponent discard a card, like any combination of these abilities, I would be happy with, and that's not gonna be that hard at 6 mana.
Do you like this more or less than the Champion, or about the same?
Yeah, I think I guess from a pick one pack one perspective, I like it a little bit more because it's a little more flexible. It's like the potentially 3 colors, or no, you can pick from your 3 as opposed to just ideally needing to be green white specifically. The card itself, like if you just have it in your deck, yeah, like I said, I think any of the 2 colors you're doing here, if you can somehow get to all 3, that's awesome. But you're gonna be very happy with comes in, your opponent discards a card, you draw a card, or the haste and trample mode ability is also pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I think I'm going B plus as again with this card.
yeah, I think so too. I could see. I might even put this in the A range actually. I think just because it is a little more flexible and like
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. That's gonna bring us to there are 3 Meld cards in the format. So we'll be looking at these. Oh no, I'm gonna set myself up to mispronounce. Well, not mispronounce, but it's gonna sound weird to people. Anyway, so we've got 3 of these. We'll read, I guess, all 3 and then evaluate them together. Mishra, claimed by Gix, is 2 black-red for a 3/5. Whenever you attack, each opponent loses X life, and you gain X life, where X is the number of attacking creatures. If Mishra, claimed by Gix, and a creature named Phyrexian Dragon Engine are attacking, and you both own and control them, exile them, then meld them into Mishra, lost to Phyrexia. It enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. So, well, there's Phyrexian Dragon Engine. It's not a mythic. It's a rare, but still feels like magical Christmas land. 3 mana for a 2/2 double strike. When Phyrexian Dragon Engine enters the battlefield from your graveyard, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards. And it has Unearth for 3 red. That's interesting. And boy howdy, here's all the text. Mishra, lost to Phyrexia, is a 9/9 when it enters the battlefield or attacks. Choose 3. 3 of 6. Target opponent discards 2 cards. Mishra deals 3 damage to any target. Destroy target artifact or planeswalker. Creatures you control gain menace and trample until end of turn. Creatures you don't control get -1/-1 until end of turn, or create 2 tapped Power Stone tokens.
So the unfortunate thing about these Meld cards is they're all very good, and so
Right.
it's not even like, oh, like I first pick the good one, and then maybe I get floated the other card. Aside from one of the cards that in the Urza pair, they're all just like cards you would just be very happy to put in your deck.
Right.
So it's like, so really you are individually evaluating them. So let's just start with Mishra first. The
Cool.
4 mana 3/5. This is a great card. Just like 4 mana 3/5. Kind of like a Hell Rider style effect comes in, drains your opponent when you attack. It does a lot of damage, and the life gain is nice too. This card on its own, excellent. Just this is an A.
This is an A. I agree.
Yeah. Just don't forget about the melding side, and this Mishra is just awesome. The Dragon Engine, which is 3 mana 3/3 double strike,
2 double strike.
Sorry. 3 mana 2/2 double strike. Unearth from your grave 5 mana to draw 3 cards, discard your hand. That's also great. This card's also fantastic. Just that 3 mana, like just any deck getting 3 mana 2/2 double strike. That's awesome. You can just put that in any deck. Very, very happy. But the Unearth ability is really powerful too. Just like drawing 3 cards at some point, gassing up, dealing hitting your opponent for 4, or having them chump block. That's awesome. It's kind of funny. This also, the way it's worded is you don't need to unearth it to get the 3 cards. You could return to the battlefield, reanimate it, or you can recommission it in white or something like that. So keep your eye out from that. But just straight up, I also think this card's an A. It's a awesome body, and its value when it dies, or after it dies, it gets some value.
Yeah, I'm into that as well.
You want to give a grade to the Dragon Engine? A++? Oh,
you mean the
when
Mishra,
you meld it? Yeah.
The lost to Phyrexia?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like A++ does it really matter? Like, you win the game.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Mishra lost to the Phyrexia, not Dragon Engine. Yeah, it's just like absurd. You're not. It would be very difficult to find a way to lose the game after you meld this, I think. So,
I agree.
But yeah. Take your screenshots. It's gonna happen sometimes, but very rarely. Next up, we got Urza here. So this is the blue-white one, where Mishra is the red-black one. So this is Urza, Lord Protector, 1 blue-white for a 2/4 at Mythic. Artifacts, instant sorceries you cast cost 1 less to cast. And it has 7 mana ability, which is just its meld ability here. You can pay 7 mana. If you have both Urza and an artifact called the Weak Stone and the Might Stone, you exile and meld them together. That's the thing this melds with. But let's just talk about Urza quickly. 3 mana 2/4 makes your artifacts instant sorceries cheaper. We like that, right?
Yes. 3 mana 2/4 makes your stuff cheaper is very good. That's
I would say
B+.
Yeah, it's a B+. I mean, it's like a souped up goblin electromancer sort of. So I think with the body edition,
That is such a savage beat on Urza here.
I mean, I feel that much better than that card, to be honest. Like, I would actually probably give like more the C+, B- range, but
Interesting. Okay.
yeah, that's all.
Okay.
And then the Weak Stone in the Might Stone, the Might Stone in the Weak Stone. Sorry, this is a 5 mana artifact and says when the Might Stone and the Weak Stone into the battlefield, you choose one. Either draw 2 cards or target creature gets -5/-5 until end of turn. And it's also got an ability, tap it, add 2 colorless. So it's basically like 2 Power Stones. It's the Power Stone tech too. Yeah. This mana can't be spent to
So
cast
this
on
is fine.
Yeah, this is fine. Like
5 mana
it's good if
removal
you're
or 5 mana draw 2. That's a nice modality.
yeah, it's good if you're ramping. If you like have 7 drops, this is a
Yeah.
good card.
And also can also cast this with Power Stones.
Yep, totally. So, the dream we're living here is you play Urza, and then this card, the Might Stone of the Weak Stone, actually gets cheaper. It goes to 4 mana because of Urza. And then the turn after, this
You
plus
meld.
Urza's ability, yeah, you can actually meld it because you have the full 7 mana. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. So I think both these cards are worse than the Mishra ones.
Yeah. I think I would go like... Yeah, I think B- on Might Stone and Weak Stone for me. You're muted, bud. You're muted still.
Oh, sorry, I had to sneeze.
No, I know.
Yeah, so I think both those are about B- range. They're decent. We're gonna read the Urza card.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so excuse me. So Urza, his Urza Planeswalker. It says you may activate the loyalty ability of Urza twice each turn rather than once, and it starts at 7 loyalty. All right, so it's got 5 abilities. +2. Artifacts and sorceries you cast this turn cost 2 less. You gain 2 life. +1. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card. 0. You make 2 1/1 soldier artifact tokens. -3. Exile target non-land permanent. -10. Artifacts and planeswalkers you control gain indestructible until the turn. Destroy all other permanents.
This is the first 5 ability Planeswalker?
Yeah, I believe so.
That's very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's an A+.
Yeah, I mean, plus. Yeah. Again, send your screenshots, but don't expect this to happen very often.
All right, and here's where everyone's gonna get mad at me that I don't call this Titania, but I'm gonna go Shakespeare on you and call this Titania. Titania, Voice of Gaia, is 1 green for a 3/4 elemental reach. Whenever 1 or more land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you gain 2 life. At the beginning of your upkeep, if there are 4 or more land cards in your graveyard and you both own and control Titania, Voice of Gaia, and a land named Argoth, Sanctum of Nature, exile them and then meld them into Titania, Gaia Incarnate. So 3 mana, 3/4 reach, landfall, or land, grave land or whatever. Land cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, you gain 2 life.
Yeah, so 3 mana, 3/4 reach, solid body. And then if you build a land or you crack your Evolving Wild, you gain 2 life. So mostly it's a 3 mana.
3 mana, 3/4 reach is good. That's a B.
Yeah, that's fine. That's like a B-.
Yeah. Next, we get Argoth, Sanctum of Nature, which is a land. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a legendary green creature. It taps to add a green mana. You can also tap 2 GG and it to create a 2/2 green bear creature token, then mill 3 cards. Activate only as a sorcery.
It's a good land. Just,
Yeah, and a forest that enters the battlefield tapped that then can make 2/2s later in the game. That's good.
Yep, that's just a solid
hard
card
to be
too.
mad about that.
Yeah. So what would you give this land here?
Another B-.
Yep, I think so too.
Okay, and then we get Titania, Gaia Incarnate, which is a star legendary creature, elemental avatar. Vigilance, reach, trample, and haste. Titania, Gaia Incarnate's power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control. When it enters the battlefield, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped, and you can pay 3 and a green to put 4 +1/+1 counters on target land you control. It becomes a 0/0 elemental creature. With haste, it's still a land.
Yeah, just another A+++. This card's just excellent.
Yep.
All right, cool. So again,
that's about our wall of texts for the day.
Yeah. Luckily, I think they've actually reduced the number of words on these cards. Luckily, so yeah, these are sweet. I think these are really cool. They're a nice aspirational thing, but like I said, not gonna happen very often. So
correct.
Move on to lands.
First up, we have Blast Zone, a reprint. It enters the battlefield with a charge counter on it. It taps to add a colorless. You can pay XX and tap it to put X charge counters on it, and you can also pay 3 tap to sacrifice Blast Zone to destroy each non-land permanent with mana value equal to the number of charge counters on Blast Zone. So notably, unless there's some way that we haven't seen yet to remove counters from things, you can't blow up tokens with this.
Right, including Power Stones.
Because it comes in with a counter on it. But you can then just use it to blow up 1 mana value things, can uptick it at some point, and then blow up larger things. And then the real question here is, what is the cost of a colorless land in your deck? And I think in this set, it's going to be less than it would be otherwise.
Yeah, I think so too. I still think this isn't a card you should be too excited about, though. I think that it's a lot of mana to like kill one thing, and sometimes it's finicky, or you want to kill their 4-drop. You've got a 4-drop that will die to this too. It's just like a ton of mana to get anything done.
Yeah, but Power Stones, Alex.
Yeah, Power Stones. Yeah, I did forget about that for a second. So, I mean, it's not going to be a high pick. Will you put this in your deck if you get late? Yeah, you could. It depends on how many colorless cards you have. I think how much it's going to cost you to have a colorless hand.
Yeah, I mean, I'm always higher on lands than you, and then I'm always feel wrong about it. But I feel, I mean, the question for me is how punished do I feel by running a colorless land in my deck? And if the answer is, if it's closer to normal, then yeah, I agree that whatever.
I also don't think you're gonna be. I think you're actually gonna feel the pain of the colorless land, because even the artifacts have color costs in them, right?
Sometimes, yeah, somewhere if you want their cheap prototype cost, and a lot of those are double color requirements. I agree.
Yep.
But again, if it's more of an Eldraine world, where a lot of the decks are 13-4, 12-5 splits,
I can guarantee people aren't going to do that because people didn't do that for Eldraine.
You mean build their mana? People don't know how to build mana bases in general, but I'm not talking about people. I'm talking about you.
You're talking about you, yeah.
I'm talking about you and me. Yeah. It's just so like this is such a powerful effect, to get for quote unquote free. But yeah, I guess I think I would have initially rated this in somewhere the B- B range, but I guess I'll go C+.
Yeah, I was gonna give it a C. Like I think like you said, like the stamp on it is, if you can afford a colorless land, it's pretty free. It's not that exciting of an effect though.
Yeah.
Yep. Next up, we got Fortified Beachhead. So this is a land rare. As Fortified Beachhead enters the battlefield, you may reveal a soldier from your hand. And if you do, it comes in untapped. Otherwise, it comes in tapped. You can tap it to add white or blue. It also has an ability, 5-tap. Soldiers you control get +1/+1 until end of turn.
Interesting.
Yeah. So blue-white dual land that sometimes comes in untapped. I would say not even sometimes. In your blue-white decks is going to come in untapped in your opening hand a good amount of the time. It'd be pretty hard, I think, not to have a soldier.
Yeah, and its ability is going to be quite relevant in those decks.
Yeah, for sure. Powerful card.
Where's you bump this up to what?
So it's kind of tricky because I don't think you want to like first pick this in draft soldiers. I don't think that's the kind of card this is. But if you're already there, this card's awesome. This card's just like going to be like a B level pick basically, right? It's just not a card you can consider taking
go
early,
into this deck for it. Yeah,
exactly. So if you're already there, this is like a B, and pick one, pack one. You're probably not going to take it.
So do you say like Synergy B?
Yeah, Synergy B is probably about right.
Okay, sounds good. Next up, we have Hall of Tagson. It's a land. It taps for a colorless. It also filters. You can pay 1 tap, add 1 mana of any color. And you can pay 4 tap to make a tapped Power Stone token.
Huh. Yeah, interesting. I don't know.
This feels like wishing for more wishes.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
I'm a little...
Do I really want to use 5 mana? It's like, well, you can pay Power Stones to make Power Stones. It could be anything, even a Power Stone.
Right. So I guess the nice thing about this is, with Power Stones, this Crystal Grotto gets a little bit better, right?
I agree with that. That yeah. I'm into. I don't think I'm going to knock it for, like, the third ability here is just gravy, I feel like. It's like, how interested are you in a Grotto? And I think you kind of are with Power Stones.
Yeah, I think if you have Power Stones and have uses for Power Stones, like, ideally not just, like, casting stuff, I think this card's decent. I think it's a solid card.
Yeah, I think so. Pack one, pick one. Do you like this or Evolving Wilds? I mean, I know you like neither, but
yeah, like, if you had to make me choose a land for a pick one, pack one, I would probably be this one. I think it just has higher upside and does similar things as long as you have a Power Stone or 2 lying around.
That's what I think too. So, but I think I'm gonna give it a similar C+ here.
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Next up, we got Mishra's Foundry. So this is a colorless land, tap-side colorless. 2, Mishra's Foundry becomes a 2/2 assembly worker artifact creature until end of turn. It's still a land. It's got an ability, 1 tap it. Target attacking assembly worker gets +2/+2 until end of turn.
I kept being like, didn't I? This is a reprint, right?
Yeah, not quite.
Not quite. But
yeah, it's a callback to Mishra's workshop, which sorry, not workshop.
Factory.
Factory, yes,
Yeah.
Mishra's Factory, and it's good. Like the colorless land, like I'm more into this as a colorless land than Blast Zone by quite a bit. Just having a free 2/2 in your mana base, just sitting there. Not free, it's 2 mana, but that's a solid card.
Yeah.
More solid than you might expect if you haven't played with like these like Nita Vault / Mishra's Workshop style cards.
And it sounds like in terms of a colorless land impacting your mana base, you like this more than Blast Zone.
Yes, I think so. Just like having that creature that if you cast a bunch, maybe you're doing the full on cast a bunch of removal spells and with the land, but maybe you're just using it to block. Like that's totally reasonable too. The last ability there is more of a constructed thing where you have multiple of these going on. Sometimes you're gonna have an assembly worker, but that's not gonna come up very often.
All that cycle, there's all three of the common creatures,
Sure.
that are assembly workers that we don't like,
Yeah.
and then there's also self-assembler in the retro slot.
Yep, exactly.
I'm just gonna cop out, I guess, and give this a C+ again.
Okay, yeah, I would give it a B. I think it's a little bit higher than that.
A
but,
B.
Yeah,
That's really interesting to me because my initial thought is that it's just I think the way that I incorrectly evaluate cards. I guess my initial thought is just that Blast Zone is much better than this.
Oh yeah, I just think like it's just so much more efficient. Like yes, it's a smaller effect, but like again, Blast Zone's got so much mana to do what you want, and this just it's 2 mana 2/2 on your land.
Wow, but it's a 3 mana 2/2.
Sure, you have to activate the land. This is true, but that's just that coming up at some point is just good. You're gonna be happy about that to block with, to attack with.
Yeah, I feel like I'm happier with my land being a removal spell, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's
yeah,
fine.
chat saying threats over answers. It's kind of I mean, not that people don't like threats.
That I don't think it applies to 3 mana 2/2 versus clunky.
Yeah, it's not a great comparison.
Yeah. And then we have the completed cycle of the pain lands. So we have the red white, the green white, the black green, and the blue black pain lands here, which tap for colorless or deal a damage to you and tap for one of two colors.
It's kind of funny. I had a few people, a lot more people than I would have expected back, when we were drafting Dominaria, say, "Oh, are these playable in limited?" Like, I tend not to pick these because the damage matters, and it's like the damage matters for sure, but these are still fine to fix your mana, like totally fine. You're gonna play these,
right? Yeah. I mean, they are like they were like worse than the common lands last set, not because they dealt you a damage, but because they didn't have basic land types.
Yeah, which, we don't have to worry about that here. It's just fixes your mana for some life sometimes.
Yeah, so I would give, you don't pick these highly, but once, you have an inkling that this is your color pair, or it touches one, and it's over in a sort of blank pack, you just take it.
Yep, exactly. So, C+. Just like, Evolving Wilds or any other dual land.
All right. That is going to bring us to artifacts. First one here is the Stone Brain. Not Stone Rain, but Stone Brain. Just 2 mana for a legendary artifact. You pay 2, tap, exile the Stone Brain. Choose a card name, search target opponent's graveyard, hand, and library for up to 4 cards with that name and exile them. That player shuffles, then draws a card for each card exiled from their hand this way. Activate only as a sorcery. Alex, you get to say one thing about this card.
I was going to say, I love that this is just like we say constructed and move on. That's all.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
I thought I was gonna I could see a case where
No, absolutely not. Do not put this card in your deck. I refuse to.
Excellent. Yeah, that's enough.
Just move on.
Okay.
Next up, we've got Liberator, Urza's Battle Thopter. So this is a 3 mana legendary Thopter. It's an artifact creature. Flash, flying, 1/2. You may cast colorless spells and artifacts as though they had flash. Whenever you cast a spell, if the amount of mana spent to cast the spell is greater than Liberator Urza Battleship's power, you put a +1/+1 counter on the Liberator.
3 mana, 1/2 flash flyer. Gives your colorless and artifact spells flash. That's pretty sweet.
Yep. This just grows.
And then it grows as you cast things that are greater than 3 mana.
Yeah, which shouldn't be too hard to get like a counter or two. If you go 1 counter, you're pretty happy with you got your Soaring Drake. Past that, you're really thrilled about that. Just like spend 3 mana for like a 3/4 flyer.
Yeah, I'm in for a B+ on the Battle Thopter, I think.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's colorless, it's flexible, and that flash clause, like that's not irrelevant either, right?
No. Having just queued with a sick blue-white deck in OG Dom with Wrath, confirm flashing in a lot of your cards is pretty powerful. It's just so, especially like because your opponent or you, when you see this on the battlefield and your opponent passes with mana up, you're just sort of forced to play like they don't have anything.
Right, yeah.
Because then
can't be
you can't
anything.
be like, well, I'll play around them having any artifact in the set. No, you can't do that. So you just have to like cast stuff into it, attack into it, whatever.
Oh, and I realized, sorry, I actually read this wrong a little bit. I thought it was if you cast something greater mana value than this. It's greater mana value than power. So
But it's power, yeah.
yeah, so it's gonna definitely grow. Like
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
yeah, you're very much gonna go like 2-drop, 3-drop. So you want to scatter your cards if you can, like cast your. It's kind of a bit of a puzzle of like, oh, how can I like? You always it's kind of funny because there's a bit of tension. You always want to cast the most expensive thing, but you might want to stagger it a little bit where you cast a 2 and a 3, and then you cast your 5 if you really care about the counter. Maybe no, you don't, but yeah. So yeah, that even better than I thought. So yeah, I'd give that a B. I think it's awesome.
Just a B?
I can see B+. Yeah, let's go to B+.
Flexible colors. Next up, we have the Stasis Coffin. It's 3 mana for a legendary artifact. You can pay 2 tap. Exile the Stasis Coffin. You gain protection from everything until your next turn.
Really weird fog that we can also just give an F.
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome.
Love to see
Great.
that.
Yeah, love it. Next up, we've got Thran Spider. 3 mana for an artifact creature Spider at the 2/4 reach. When it enters the battlefield, you and target opponent each make a tapped Power Stone token. And it's got a 7 mana ability. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You can put an artifact from among them into your hand, the rest in the bottom of any order.
But it's symmetrical.
Yeah, well.
No, it's not. 3 mana, 2/4 reach. You and your opponent each get a Power Stone, which, is better for them because they get to use it first, but also then better for you because you actually have an activated ability to use that Power Stone with. This card.
I think this is on average good.
Yeah.
It is tricky because like I mean it's not like your opponent's not going to have ways to spend their mana, right? It's not like like this is a mana sink, of course, but I think they're also going to have ways to spend their mana. So if you're comparing this to like the green 3/2 that makes a Power Stone, better or worse?
Oh, why would you do that to me? I guess worse.
I think so too. Yeah. I mean, pick one, pack one. You could argue better, but I think on average worse.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So like,
if you're gonna make that comparison, then I think this is what a
C+.
C+. Yeah, C+ probably. It's a downside to give your opponent a token, Power Stone token. Really remains to be seen exactly how much of a downside. Because when your opponent, the feeling when your opponent like path to exiles you or something, where you're like, oh my god, I'm so happy you did that here. Or
Right.
I needed that land. It might be a bit of that feel. So we'll see.
Yeah, that's fair.
I wouldn't be too high. All right.
Next up is Cityscape Leveler. It's 8 mana for an 8/8 construct with trample. When you cast the spell and whenever it attacks, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a tapped Power Stone token, and it has Unearth for 8.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, this card is busted.
This card's ridiculous. Yeah, it just comes in, kills something right away. Yeah, okay, like, we were just talking about how giving your opponent a Power Stone might matter. It doesn't matter when you're destroying their best permanent. So, yeah, awesome card. I think that this is you take this early. You do want some Power Stones to be able to cast this consistently and unearth it consistently. But if you can,
it's a Titan.
Just awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. A minus A. What do you?
Yeah, I think it's just an A. Colorless, really powerful, awesome.
Yeah. Cool.
Yep. Next up, we've got Portal to Phyrexia, 9 mana mythic artifact. When it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures, and then at the beginning of your upkeep, put target creature from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It's a Phyrexian in addition to its other types.
So when it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices their 3 worst creatures, which could be their whole board.
Yeah,
or could just be their worst
Random.
creature and a couple 1/1 tokens.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the beginning of your next turn, you get a creature card from the graveyard on the battlefield under your control. So I feel like when I see this card, if I want to maximize it, I want to put this in a self-mill deck.
Oh, you're looking to reanimate this. Interesting. Is that
No, not reanimate this, but I want to make sure that I don't want to rely on the triple edict as being powerful.
Oh, I think by that point, you're going to have a lot of stuff in the battlefield to choose from, either your side or your opponent's side. I don't think you have to worry about that too much.
What are you saying on the battlefield?
Sorry, not on the battlefield, in the graveyard. You're going to have stuff in the graveyard by that point in the game.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest hoop to jump through is just the 9 mana here. That's all.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Like, I think this card is absurdly powerful. Like, forget about any other setup, I think. I think you're just like, make you sack 3 things, I have Debtor's Knell every single turn, right? Like
Right.
that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Like your opponent's gonna have a really really tough time unless they were just about to win.
It's really hard to grind through this if you're in any way not immediately dead.
Yeah, so I think this is probably slightly closer to the build around grade just because 9 is a lot naturally. Just like a build around A. Like it's just fantastic. Sorry, yeah, build around A is probably, I guess, the way I put it. I was gonna say maybe synergy, but
I'm in for
sure.
build around A.
Whatever way you want to put it. It's just
Yeah.
fantastic card.
Cool. All right, that's going to bring us on over to the white rares. First up is Soul Partition, 1 and a white for an instant. Exile target non-land permanent. For as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast by an opponent this way costs 2 more to cast.
It's a weird bounce spell, basically, right? It's like a bounce spell that makes your thing a little bit more expensive on the way back down.
Right. I don't like this. Is this good?
Yeah, I think it's okay. It's not like, are you gonna take this over the common interaction spells? I'm not sure. It reads more, constructed focused than not, I think. But I think it's a fine card you can put in your deck. Like just 2-minute bounce a thing, and it's more expensive on the way back down. Like you remember, I don't know how much you played a little bit of the alchemy, Streets of New Capenna, Nightfront Bouncer, I think it was called. Right, where like you bounced it was a mana one bounce thing.
Yeah, that card was busted though.
Yeah. Oh, that came with a flash body, but
yeah,
the feeling of, oh, I have to recast my thing and it's more expensive, like that is more impactful than I actually imagined before I played it against that card. So I think this has like similar vibes to that.
Huh.
It's really really great. Like if you're killing your opponent, this is just 2 minutes, get king out of the way, attack you, they have to recast it. Really bad for an opponent that's struggling. In the mid to late game, it's not awesome, but you could save your own creature too. Like you could bounce your own, you can flicker your own creature or exile it, recast it. Maybe you even have a good enter the battlefield effect you want to recast. So I think it's flexible enough. I think it's good enough. It's a card you can play. Not going to be an awesome high pick, but I think around a C+.
Yeah, I'm gonna start a little lower at C.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, maybe C is more appropriate too. I think it's a card that you're not going to be too sad about though.
Okay.
Next up, we got In the Trenches. 1 white for a mythic enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Also has an ability, 5 and a white. Exile target non-land permanent you don't control until In the Trenches leaves the battlefield. Activate this only once and only as a sorcery.
Oh, only once, period. No.
Yeah, just straight up.
Yeah. Okay, only once, period. That's still really good.
Yes, just glorious anthem that kills something eventually is awesome.
Yeah. I'm pretty interested in this card.
Yep.
Because there's also like an interesting game of with this on the battlefield. There's like threat of activation isn't quite the right phrase. I was thinking like game of chicken kind of, but that's
a little bit, yeah.
also not right. But like when you just know, it's like just knowing that your opponent has Doomblade in their hand or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You then have to go, which creature do I want to try and get them to use that on?
Right.
And a similar thing happens here where you're like, can I really play out my best thing? Do I have to pretend that this other thing is my best thing? Yeah, I think this card is very good. I would give it a B+.
I would just put this in the A category. I was just going to give it straight A. Like, I think the Anthem's great and additional value.
Yeah.
It's one of those cards that, like, you know, we've seen in the past little while, it's like the cheap bomby cards can, like, really dominate some games because they kind of do anything. They do something before the game is kind of underway. I think when your opponent plays this on turn 3 or turn 4, you're just going to be like, crap. Like, that, all their stuff is going to outsize mine, and they also just have a removal spell at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Next is Kayla's Command. 1 white for a sorcery. Choose 2. Make a 2/2 colorless construct artifact creature token. Put a +1/+1 counter on a creature you control. It gains double strike until end of turn. Search your library for a basic plains card. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. You gain 2 life and scry 2.
Yeah, so we got a cycle of colorless commands here. And I think for this one, the most common mode is going to be make a 2/2, go get a land. Would you imagine that?
That's pretty good. White gets a Civic Wayfinder.
Yeah, I guess you want to look at it that way. And then after that, you know, the double strike counter mode kind of can kill people out of nowhere sometimes.
Also, gain 2, scry 2 later in the game is going to be good if you're just like, I actually don't want to go find a land. I just want to dig for action.
Yeah, like, you know, if you've got a bunch of expendables already, the 2/2 is not going to do that much. So, yeah, maybe you just, like, get get in for a bunch of damage and scratch it. Like I can see every mode.
Yeah,
of
I
this
think
being
that's why I
relevant.
just want to give this like
Yeah.
flexibility B plus.
Yeah, I think so too. Just really solid. Like the one white 2/2 go get planes. That would be a really solid card. Just like a C plus B minus, and then add
Right.
more flexibility. Yeah, I like B plus for this.
Yeah.
Kayla's Reconstruction is up next. X white for a sorcery and rare. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put up to X artifact and or creature cards with mana value 3 or less among them onto the battlefield. Rest on the bottom in any order.
Top 7 of your library. Put X with mana value 3 or less among them onto the battlefield. Oof, that is.
Yeah.
The fact that you can't use Power Stones for X here is rough.
Yeah, and your hit rate has to be really dense for this actually to get anything. Like 7 cards is not all that deep. So if you're spending, let's say,
right, yeah. Are you really even getting a mana advantage here?
Right, so let's say you spend 5 mana. I mean, you will. It's just you do need to make sure your deck is that's enough. You often will get a mana advantage because if you spend 5 mana, you put 2 into X, you get 2 3/3s. Or sorry, 3 mana value.
Oh, okay. So you look at top 7 no matter what.
Yes, you always look at 7.
I see. Okay.
Yep. It's just the X is deciding how many things you get to put on the battlefield.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I think if you do have, somewhere in the neighborhood of 12, 11, 13 cards that this hits, mana value 3 or less creature cards or artifacts, it's solid because I do think that like 5 to get 2 things is good, and 3 to get if you can get spike like 3 to get X is 3 to get 3 things, you have to get a little bit lucky. I do think there, but that's really good. So it's a bit of a deck building thing, and if you can do it, it's a solid card.
Yeah, I feel like build around, I don't know, C.
Yeah, build around C plus, I would say.
Yeah.
Not an incredible payoff, and sometimes it whiffs. So
yeah. Okay. Next up is Lauren of the Third Path. This is 2 and a white for 2/1 legendary creature, human artificer with vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, destroy up to 1 target artifact or enchantment. And then you can tap it to have you and target opponent each draw a card.
So in a normal set, a Reclamation Sage would be fine a lot of times, right? Just like, solid card, hit some stuff. In this set, this is just 3 mana 2/1 comes in and kills this thing a lot of the time. Like a good,
I don't know,
almost every time.
I just love everything about this card.
Yeah,
I also like the tap ability myself.
Yeah, the tap.
I activate. I'm not scared to activate Skycrier.
I was gonna say, like, Ethan, how often did you activate Skycrier?
More than 0.
Exactly. So good card. I would give this honestly like an A minus.
Yeah, I feel like this could be A- too.
Yep. It's just so much of the time it's just gonna come in and like kill a 4 mana or 5 mana creature, right?
Right.
Yeah,
but even blowing up a Power Stone token is gonna feel like, ugh. Why'd you do that to me?
Exactly. Yeah, if you really want to. Next up, we've got Siege Veterans. So this is 2 and a white for a 2/2. The beginning of combat on your turn, you put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever another non-token soldier you control dies, you make a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact token.
Wait, what? How is this like
fair?
Fixed? Like this is just, didn't they alchemize the 2 mana 1/1 version of this card?
Yeah, it's a 3 mana Luminarch Aspirant with a bit of bonus upside.
What in the world?
I mean, for constructed, like,
I don't care about those 60 card deck
like,
weirdos.
You said like super powerful thing. Like, how can they do this again? Being 3/2 is a big deal.
Yes.
And it's in limited though. You're just gonna be like thrilled with this card. It's an excellent card. Luminarch Aspirant, I believe, was the best card in that set for limited. Like,
and whenever a 1/1 and whenever a soldier, non-token soldier dies, you get a 1/1 to keep dumping more counters. This is an A.
Yeah, this is an A. Yeah, this is fantastic.
Is dumb.
Absurd. It's just gonna outscale your opponent so quickly.
Yeah. Takasia's Welcome is 2 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever 1 or more creatures with mana value 3 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn.
So this is kind of tricky. So we've got basically welcoming vampire without the body, right?
Harder to kill in theory.
Yeah, it's hard to kill. Yeah, well, yeah, it's still gonna
nice to disenchant, but
yeah. This is a tough one. I'm actually not 100% sure. So you play this on 3, you then play a thing to fall after it. You draw a card.
I think ideally you're not playing this on 3.
Sure.
I think ideally you're playing this on turn 5 with a 2-drop.
Yeah.
Because I think in a deck where this is at its best, you don't want to not... Like, if you can affect the board versus not affecting the board on turn 3, you want to affect the board.
Yeah, I think that there's only once per turn ability.
That's not that relevant, is it?
No, no, I'm just seeing if tokens would work. That's all. Like if you like had the token
Hmm.
maker or something. Yeah, I think this card is good, but a little slow. Um, it's a slow engine. I mean, obviously, you read the card. That's what it
I
kind
th-
of is.
I think as we were talking about yesterday with Black Red Sacrifice, as like
Yeah.
there's gonna be our gut is telling us, or what we're reading from the cards is telling us that there's two versions of that deck, right? There's this like hyper aggressive red based version, and then there's this value based recursion version of that deck. I think white black, which may be the only home for this card, if white is assertive, I think white black may have two versions, might have a more low to the ground aggro version, and may have a grind them out recursive version as well. And I think in that version of the deck, this card is going to be excellent. That's a lot of ifs and caveats for a card, but I'm just saying like, so don't whatever. Don't think about this in a wide range of decks. And if white decks are often trying to be aggressive, I think this is, you just really don't want card advantage engines that don't affect the board. But if there's any kind of grindy versions of these decks that exist, I think this can, especially one where you're taking advantage of ways to recur creatures.
Yep.
I think this could be quite good, and it works with Unearth.
Yeah, that's true. So build around, do you think?
Yeah, build around maybe
Yeah.
synergy. Like I don't even know if I see this card and I go, "Oh, this makes me want to have that kind of deck." But maybe once I'm in that kind of deck, I don't know yet. But yeah, I'll start slightly high and I'll give this a build around B minus.
Okay, yeah, I'll join you there. This is one that one of them I'm the least unsure of until we see it play out. So
Sure.
we'll see. Next up, we got Urza's Silex. So we just had Karn Silex. Here's Urza's. This is 3 mana for a mythic. 2 white tap it. Exile Urza's Silex. Each player chooses 6 lands they control. Destroy all other permanents. Activate only as a sorcery. And it's got this other text which says when it's put into the grave or when it's put into exile from the battlefield, you can pay 2 and search your library for a planeswalker. I imagine that's not going to be too relevant. So we're just looking at 3 mana to come down, 2 white tap it, exile it, destroy everything except 6 lands people control.
I'm out on this card, personally.
I am too. Super slow, right? Just, I mean, at least
and it's very hard to get ahead of this.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
As the player playing it, because one of the things you get to do with, like, let's say the sweeper just cost 5. One of the things you can do is, 1, not affect the board at all. Let your opponent go 2-drop, 3-drop, 4-drop, and then you wrath. Cool.
Yep.
You can't do that here because you have to say, like, it's coming. And then they go, okay, I won't affect the board now. And then, like, you can't afford to not, like, you can't be like, well, then I want to activate this yet. Yep. And then they go, cool, then I won't affect the board and I'll keep beating you down with my creatures I've already put on the battlefield. This is just bad.
At least with Karn Silex, you could have like your Tolarian Terrors and your opponent's like, like, what are you gonna do? Like, I got a 7-drop, you still have to affect the board or else this thing's gonna kill you.
The cost reduction creatures made Karn Silex quite interesting.
Yep. It's kind of funny too. Like I'm looking at like, 3 to play, 4 to activate. You could be like, oh, but Power Stones, but then this blows up your Power Stones, So yeah, I just don't think this card is very good. I would give this like a D.
Yeah, I'm going F here.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Next is Muriel, Shield of Argive. 3 and a white for a 3/4 legendary creature, human soldier. During your turn, your opponents can't cast spells or activate abilities of artifacts, creatures, or enchantments. Whenever Muriel, Shield of Argive attacks, create X 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature tokens, where X is the number of soldiers you control.
Jeez, that's a lot.
That's a meatball right there, yeah.
Yeah. So if there's anything I've learned from playing against Teferi, Time Raveler, in the past few years, is that don't underestimate that first ability. It's not quite the same ability, but you not being able to affect your opponent on their turn, not be able to cast instants on their turn, like basically needing to play at sorcery speed, that's a big deal. That's a bigger deal than you might expect. Some decks it's not really going to affect, but there's going to be something, a combat trick, that like you want to cast on your opponent's turn, that matters for that. So don't just look at that as like, oh, like throwaway text. That's actually relevant. Then the second ability, that's just awesome too. Just making a bunch of soldier tokens when she attacks.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is B plus. I guess it could even be. I think the fact that it's like not. I don't think this pushes into A range for me just because like it doesn't. It is a demands to be answered, but it doesn't like stabilize you if you're behind
Sure.
type deal.
Yeah.
So I'll go B plus.
Okay, yeah, I think so too. I could see this creeping up, but I'll go with B plus as well. All right, next up, we got Autonomous Assembler. So this is 5 mana for a 4/5 Vigilance. 1 tap, put a +1/+1 counter on target assembly worker you control. It is an assembly worker. It's also got a prototype cost, 1 and a white for a 2/2.
I actually kind of like this.
Yeah, this
I mean,
is a solid card.
2 mana 2/2 that has vigilance that grows itself is pretty sweet.
Yep.
And it has kicker like that. And then you might even end up with some of the derpy assembly workers.
Sure.
And then it makes those like less derpy. Yeah, this is a solid B, I think.
It's also just kind of got like good threat of activation because you attack with this into their 2/3 on 3, and it's like, well, I can't block it. All right, then you just play your 3-drop still.
Yeah, exactly. Right, the
Yeah.
threat of activation is so nice on this.
Yeah, so it's not bombastic or over the top, but it's efficient, so I'd give it a B.
Yeah, I think so too.
Sweet.
Next up is Platoon Dispenser. This is 5 mana for a 4/6 construct. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more other creatures, draw a card. Wow. 3 and a white, create a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. Oh my gosh. And then it also has Unearth for 2 white.
This card's ridiculous.
That's an A. Okay.
Yeah, it's a huge body for not that much mana.
It's a game in and of itself.
Yes.
There's gonna like this is I mean thankfully it's a mythic, but there's just gonna be so many like I was winning the game and then my opponent played Platoon Dispenser.
Yep. It's gonna end like it basically has an enter the battlefield effect too, right? Because most of the time,
God, I forgot about. I was looking at this and I forgot about Power Stone.
yeah, imagine that too, right?
Yeah.
This card's ridiculous. And if you when you unearth it, it's gonna hit you for 4 and probably draw a card.
Yep.
This is an A. I almost want to go A plus, but
Yeah.
I think I'll stay at A.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome card.
Wow.
Next up, last white card here. Here is Steel Seraph. So this is 6 mana for a 5/4 flyer artifact. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gains your choice of flying, vigilance, or lifelink until end of turn. And prototype cost 1 white for a 3/3.
I just want to pause here real quick. There's a lot of questions in chat about these prototype cards. Would you play these outside of their respective colors? And I think for me so far, and one of the reasons that I like how WotC grouped these, and that's why we're doing it this way, is I don't think any of them are cards that I'm particularly happy about when I don't have the modality. And I think the one exception for me right now is the 10 mana 10/10 in green. If that's like your Power Stone or Reanimate game plan, where like that's the 3/5 part of that card is irrelevant to me. But the rest of these I'm not quite sure. So
I
like
think a lot of sorry, go ahead.
No, please.
I was gonna say I think a lot of the rares and mythics like you would just put in your
You
deck.
would
Like, I think this card you just put in your deck.
So this
It's
one, right?
awesome.
6 mana 5/4 flyer, colorless. Beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gains your choice of flying, vigilance, or lifelink. Man, lifelink being on there is just dumb.
Yeah, just this. Imagine this on turn 3 too. Just flying lifelink creature.
Yeah.
Really great.
Yeah, that's it. This is another A.
This is another A. Yep.
Yep.
Excellent.
Okay, that's going to bring us on to blue, where first up we have Drafna, founder of Latnam. This is 1 in a blue for a 2/1 human artificer advisor. You can pay 1 in a blue, return target artifact you control to its owner's hand. And you can pay 3 tap to copy target artifact spell you control. Ooh, baby.
Yeah, that's really sweet. That's a lot of value. So for maybe those who haven't encountered this technology, like this literally means you copy, like you cast a 5 mana artifact creature, you can copy it for 3 mana, you just get a token of it. It comes into, as it says here, the reminder text is that copy becomes a token. So this is in the battlefield and it really just threatens to take over the game. I mean, it's a fragile body that you're not really, the 2 mana 2/1 is not exciting, but it is a huge value engine.
Yeah. Well, it's so sick because it doesn't punish you for having played out your artifacts that you might want to copy. / it just like this plus an artifact is just an engine. You just pick it up, cast it, copy it. Pick it up, cast it, copy it.
And not to mention that, like, you can protect your artifacts too, right? Return them. It's not a only on your turn. It's not a sorcery speed ability. You can protect them from artifact removal or any removal. So it's a lot of mana for what you're doing, but it's not like an egregious amount of mana. And it's on a 2/1 body, which isn't great, but it's totally passable. So this card's awesome. I would probably give it a B+.
I am in for B+ on draft night as well.
Another pretty awesome card, Surge Engine here. So this is 2 mana for a Mythic. It's an artifact creature construct, 3/2 defender. It's a one of these level up kind of creatures that they have a lot. Like the Evolve Sleeper, kind of like that.
Yeah.
So first level here is blue. Surge Engine loses defender and gains this creature can't be blocked. So you turn into a 2 mana 3/2 can't be blocked. 2 in a blue. Surge Engine becomes blue and has base power and toughness 5/4. Activate only if Surge Engine doesn't have defender. And then last ability here, 4 blue, draw 3 cards, activate this only once. And only if it's blue.
Yeah, this card's awesome.
Yeah, just fantastic. Just really good scaling threat. Clock super, super hard. Like if you really gonna want to go like 2 invest very often, because your opponent just goes, okay, I just kill that thing and you waste all your mana. But it's nice. You can do it in increments, and at some point you just go, okay, I build up my board, but now hit you with a 5/4 unblockable. Yeah,
wait,
great card.
unblockable?
Yeah, can't be blocked. This creature can't be blocked, and you upgrade it to a 5/4.
Oh, I've missed I missed that first section. I just thought it lost defender.
Oh no, just
gains it. Oh, so it just becomes unblockable. Good lord.
Yeah,
oh
great.
My gosh.
I think
I just want to give this like efficiency A.
Yeah, I think so. No, totally. It's efficient. It's good at all points in the game. I don't know what more you want to ask for.
I won't. I won't be asking anything.
Great.
Next up is Hercule Master Wizard. 1 blue for a 2/4. Legendary Human Wizard Advisor. At the beginning of your end step, if you've cast a non-creature spell this turn, reveal the top 5 cards of your library. For each card type among non-creature spells you've cast this turn, you may put a card of that type from among the revealed cards into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. So I think the important thing to note here is that you can cast a non-creature artifact, right? As I understand this correctly, you can cast a non-creature artifact and put a creature artifact from among the 5 you see into your hand.
Is that
for each
correct?
card type among non-creature spells you've cast?
Among non-creature spells. Okay.
You've cast that, right? So I cast an artifact, then I may put a card of that type from among the revealed cards. It doesn't say that has to be
true
exclusively that type.
Yep. I believe that's it. Yeah. That's I totally missed that. Awesome.
Still, I still don't know how many. I'm not convinced that you're running a ton of non-creature artifacts.
Sure.
In this format, but that's still a nice upside. And then certainly 5 is quite a lot of cards to see, or cards to be able to choose from potentially.
Well, also if we looked at blue, it had like a pretty big instant package like that. This is just
right. Yeah, exactly.
Right? So don't even think about artifacts. Just look at your spells, right?
Right. Well, I will say, yes, that's nice. I think a lot of the a lot of the benefits of the instance is that you want to be able to pass.
Yeah,
pass them on your opponent's turn, which will not help Hercule out. But sure, I think there's enough little things happening with this card attached to a 3 mana 2/4 body that I'm interested.
Yeah, I think so too. It's not going to be that hard to draw a card off this card.
I agree.
So
I think it's a B. Yep.
Sweet. Next up, we've got Sky Strike Officer. So this is 2 in a blue for a human soldier. It's a 2/3 flyer. And it says when it attacks, you make a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact token, and also has an ability, tap 3 untapped soldiers you control to draw a card.
Good lord.
Just army in a can.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was talking about the cheap bombs that come down and your opponent goes, God. I'm just gonna die to that. Yeah. That's this thing. Yeah.
It's another A-.
Yep. I would give this an A-.
Yeah. My goodness. Whew. I forgot what bombs were like coming off of Dominaria. It's not that many. It's nice to see what cards LSV will open in the showdown.
Yep, exactly.
Urza's Command is next. 2 blue for an instant. Choose 2. Creatures you don't control get -2/-0 until end of turn. Create a tapped Power Stone token. Create a tapped 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token with this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. And it has Scry. And the last ability is Scry 1, then draw a card.
Oof. Wow. So the fact that this card's an instant is a huge deal with the construct token. Like, I think your main modes of this are going to be make a construct, draw a card. So it's going to be a 3-for-1 a lot of the time because you're going to make like a 4/4 construct on turn 4, and you draw a card, scry 1, and maybe
4/4 construct seems a little
ambitious.
4/4 on turn 4 seems quite ambitious, Alex.
Sure.
If you're
Okay.
not also making a Power Stone.
So sometimes you're gonna make a Power Stone as well instead of drawing a card.
Oh, and the construct is tapped. That's
you can't ambush something. Okay, sorry. Yep. That makes it quite a bit different. Okay, so never mind. It's still very good though.
I agree.
Right? Yeah, I think you're just very happy with. Like if you just think of it as like 3/3 artifact creature, draw a card when it enters the battlefield. It comes in tapped. You're really happy with that. And the other modes are good too.
This is just good.
Yeah, this is just good. I would give this one an A.
Yeah, I'll go B+ on this.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Except Teferi Temporal Pilgrim. 3 blue for a Planeswalker Teferi. 4 loyalty. It's got a static ability. Whenever you draw a card, you put a loyalty counter on Teferi. It's got 0, draw a card. Of course, it's +1, technically. -2, you make a 2/2 blue spirit creature token with vigilance. And whenever you draw a card, you put a +1/+1 counter on this creature. -12, target opponent chooses a permanent they control and returns it to their hand. Then they shuffle each non-land permanent they control into their library or into its owner's library.
Wow. Okay. So this is a bomb.
Yeah, this card's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's another A.
It's another A. It's gonna come down. Sometimes it's gonna tick up, but if you've got a stable board, you tick down, you make it 2/2. That 2/2 is gonna be a 4/4 by the time you want to go to attacks. Vigilance 2. And the ultimate is not that wild to get there because this just very naturally ticks up every turn.
Correct.
Without you activating its ability.
Next up is the Temporal Anchor. It's 3 triple blue for a legendary artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 2. Whenever you choose to put 1 or more cards on the bottom of your library while scrying, exile that many cards from the bottom of your library. During your turn, you may play cards exiled with the Temporal Anchor.
So you're kind of drawing 2 cards a turn with this. 6 mana, draw 2 cards a turn.
I mean, you could be drawing 3 cards a turn.
Because for your drop step too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is that good enough for 6 mana? Is the question.
Probably not.
Yeah, it's a little slow.
I just never I don't know. We seem to get these kind of. Now, this is a little bit more interesting. It's 6 mana, and you can potentially draw 3 cards a turn. But these 5 mana enchantments that draw you an extra card every turn are just such tough sells for me because that turn where you tap out on 5 and don't affect the board at all, is so hard to come back from.
Yep.
This kind of card, like, I love to do nothing, but not this kind of nothing.
Yeah, I think that compared to like wiretapping or like one of those cards you're talking about, 3 is a lot more than 1. But the point still stands that tapping out and doing nothing does suck in a lot of states.
3 is a lot more than 2.
The 2, yeah, sorry. Well, that is true still, but 3 is also more than 1. Yeah, I think this card is just not that great. I think if you needed a like top end card, finisher-ish card, you could play it, but I don't think it's like you take it, you build around it, you draw a bunch of cards. I think it's like a C.
Yeah, sure. I'll go C. I feel like it's a C that I will never want to put in my deck. Like,
sure,
I don't know if I ever cast wiretapping in Streets.
Next up, we got Hercule's Final Meditation. 4 blue for an instant at rare. As long as it's not your turn, this spell costs 3 more to cast. So it's either 7 mana on your turn or 10 on your opponent's turn. The effect is return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. End the turn.
So if you cast it for 10, it is Time Walk. Like 10 and cast it in your opponent's upkeep. It's Time Walk plus mini, like, sort of upheaval.
Yeah, bounce everything.
But
and you get the first crack.
How are you doing that?
How do you get to 10 mana?
How do you get to 10 mana without Power Stones?
Yeah. You use your Refractor and your Mana Elf to filter the mana for your Power Stones. I don't know. It's a really, really big ask. So
but it's not Cyclonic Rift because it returns your stuff too.
Right, yeah. If it was Cyclonic
Rift was busted.
Yeah.
I think this is an F.
Yeah, I guess it's worth noting you can cast it on your turn to like stop a removal spell or something. It does counter stuff, but no, it's just not good. Yeah, I think it's an F2. Yeah. Too much, too finicky, too expensive.
Next up is Arcane Proxy, 7 mana for a 4/3, or its prototype cost is 1 blue for a 2/1. And it says, when Arcane Proxy enters the battlefield, if you cast it, exile target instant or sorcery card with mana value less than or equal to Arcane Proxy's power from your graveyard. Copy that card. You may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. Interesting. So sort of a fixed-ish snapcaster. So if you play the 3 mana 2/1, you can cast something that's 2 or 1 mana. And at 7 mana 4/3, you can cast something that's 4 or less from your graveyard.
Yeah, so I think even if you don't have a ton of cheap cards, like you've got, if you've got the Go for the Throats and the Disenchants, this card's excellent. Really, really good combo there. But even if your spells are a little bit more up the curve, I still think as long as you've got some Power Stones, you can cast this for 7. Like when you cast it for 7 and you buy something back, that's still going to be pretty good.
Yeah, I think this is probably pretty darn good. And then you might, once you have this, you probably want to make some kind of pick order considerations. You may want to up your spell count or navigate yourself into one of those blue-red non-creature spells matter kind of decks. But I think this is pretty darn good.
Yeah, I think so too. So B?
B, yeah.
Sweet. Next up, we have Terizian Mindbreaker. This is a 7 mana artifact. It's a Juggernaut. It's a 6/4. It says whenever the Mindbreaker attacks, defending player mills half their library rounded up. It's got Unearth for 1 blue.
You think Voxy's gonna like this card?
I think she's gonna be thrilled whenever her opponent casts this. She's gonna love seeing all their cards.
There's no like other mill stuff, right?
No.
So these mill half cards are so bad.
Yeah, off, like really, really not good. Really, if this is your first time reading one of these kind of cards, you might think, oh, like
wow, it mills like 15.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, but then it just can never win by milling.
Yeah, exactly. And it's also just like really expensive for what you're getting. Like 7 mana 6/4 body is not very good, and this ability is not very good. I think this is probably
sorry. Millstone is an uncommon retro artifact that is also not a good limited card.
Sure. Yeah, I think this is an F. I don't think you want this card in your deck.
I'm for F here as well.
All right, last blue card.
Last blue card is One with the Universe. This is 6 blue for an enchantment. You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. Hello, future sight. Once during each of your turns, you may cast a spell from your hand or the top of your library without paying its mana cost.
Oof.
It's powerful, but it's very expensive.
Yeah.
And so again, of note that like the turn you cast this, you're doing nothing.
No, that's not true. Right? I was gonna say,
right. Because if there's a spell,
right?
Okay, never mind.
There's
there's a
you can do
spell
something.
in your hand or on top, you can cast that.
Yep. So a little bit of leeway there.
A little bit of leeway, okay.
And Future Sight is, I believe, a more powerful effect than just like drawing 2 cards a turn, because you can draw multiple, like, like 7. Right.
We've seen the whatever Experimental Frenzy. We're gonna see the artifact version of that in the archive or the retro artifacts. This is just like more sweet than good, like 9 out of 10 times.
So I think this is going to be how does the format shake out? Like if we are casting 8 mana cards with consistency, I think it's going to be good, but I don't think that's the world we live in. I think
8 mana non-artifact cards with consistency
really
is so tough.
So if you are, again, you have like the actual mana producers, maybe you have the elves and you have stuff that's not Power Stones. This is a really, really powerful card.
Yes.
But it's just not a lot of decks are going to be able to cast it.
Yeah, I think I'm going to just go D on this.
Okay, I'm gonna go like build around B because I think there's power there and I think it's worth going for. And 8 is expensive, but not like extremely prohibitive. So just putting it out there that this card is really powerful when you resolve it, and I don't think it's impossible to do so.
Sure. Yeah. Moving on to black. First up is Ashnod Flesh Mechanist, single black for a 1/1 legendary creature, human artificer with Death Touch. Whenever Ashnod Flesh Mechanist attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, create a tapped Power Stone token. And then you can pay 5 colorless, exile a creature card from your graveyard to make a tapped 3/3 colorless zombie artifact creature token.
Funny card. Kind of weird combo of abilities here.
There's just enough stuff here that this is good.
Yeah, so you're
for
just
such a small rate, like Typhoid Rats, straight up is, especially in a deck with like in a format with large monsters, is like at least a C, if not a C plus. And then everything else about this card is awesome. Like I think that middle piece of text is going to happen the least often,
right?
But anytime you get to just use your Power Stone mana to randomly exile a creature card from your graveyard to make a 3/3, I think this is quite good. I'm going to give this a B.
Yeah, I think just look at it as a modal card, like just the rats early on, and then you draw it later, and it's just like, oh great, this pumps out 3/3. So
Yeah,
I think so too. Flexible, good, kind of weird, but it is pretty good. Next up, Diabolic Intent. 1 and a black for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast the spell, sacrifice a creature. Search your library for a card, put that card in your hand. So Demonic Tutor, but you have to sacrifice a creature.
No, is my short answer. Like, for this, it's not straight up an F, but you need to have another incredibly powerful card to make this worth it. If like the best card in your deck is a B, this is not worth it. You need like one of those A plus game breaking cards.
Yep, I agree. And
even then, it's fine.
And you also need to have like creatures lying around that you don't mind sacrificing. Like even if you have an awesome card in your deck, it's not worth spending 2 additional mana to cast that card.
2 additional mana plus the resources you spent to cast that thing, plus the actual piece of cardboard.
I think Demonic Tutor has just got like a lot of heat on it. You know, it's kind of got a pedigree, and I think people are drawn in to this kind of card. But it's a bigger cost than you might think.
Yeah. So where are you at? D?
Yeah, I think D. I kind of just want to give it an F, honestly. Like, I think just like too much has to come together, and even when it does, it's like, all right, it's not even amazing, you know. So, yeah, I would just give this a D.
Yep. Next is Misery's Shadow. 1 on a black for a 2/2 shade. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. And you can pay 1, just generic 1. Misery's Shadow gets +1/+1 until end of turn.
And then Tuco Shade for the modern day player. Yeah. It's good. Just the 2-minute 2/2 pump for 1 mana.
Pump for Power Stones.
Yes, and Power Stone mana too. Yeah, that's a powerful ability.
Yeah, this is.
And the exile, that's not irrelevant either, right?
No,
Just unearthed creatures getting exiled.
Creatures are wrecked. Some black strategies are wrecked. This is a B+, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. Your opponent's gonna play this on turn 2, and you're gonna be like, crap, I have to kill that right now. Yep. Next up, we've got Razor Lash Transmogrant. So this is 2 mana. It's an artifact creature zombie at rare. It's a 3/1 that can't block, and it has an ability 4 black. Return Razor Lash Transmogrant from your graveyard to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. This ability costs 4 less to activate if an opponent controls 4 or more non-basic lands. So that's a constructed line of text, but 6 mana to bring it back.
With 6 mana to bring it back as a 4/2.
Yes, as a 4/2. Yeah.
I like this.
I'm pretty lowish on this. So usually these effects are not very good and limited. Like the can't block is a really, really bad line of text, right? And these like black creatures that, the Mario dry bones kind of style creatures that like keep coming back, but can't block.
Can I sell you on Skyclave Shade being like one of the best ZNR cards?
That is true. Shade was giant though, right? Like that thing was like a.
So Shade was a 2 mana 3/1.
Yeah.
And then it was 5 mana to be a 5/3. This is 6 mana to be a 4/2. But like.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a little more excited for this.
A little more into it,
I think.
Yeah. Maybe I'm a little bit too low on it. 3/1 for 2 if you're just like straight up attacking. Like as much as I was saying the can't block clause sucks. If you are just like a really aggressive deck, it is good. Okay, maybe I'm a little bit low on it. What would you give it?
Wait, this ability. Wait, who's saying?
Don't worry.
Okay. Anyway, I know how to read. I know how to read the card. And it's the children who are wrong. I'm gonna give this a B-.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go a little bit lower. I'm gonna give it a C+, but I couldn't respect them too low on it potentially.
Yeah.
I just like aside from Skyclave Shade, I feel like these cards have not been good, but maybe this card is close enough to Skyclave Shade.
But this is effectively especially because Power Stone mana can be used on this to
recur it, for sure.
So I think it's quite good.
Okay.
Next is Transmogrant's Crowned. 2 mana for an equipment. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. Whenever equipped creature dies, draw a card. And the equip cost is 2 or black.
Okay, so we saw the soldier equipment that kind of was like this 3+2/+0 equip to a soldier for whites. We didn't like that, but this is 2 and 1. That's a big difference if you're black, and or even like 2 and 2 with this card draw ability. That's a big difference too. So I think this card is good.
I think this card is good too.
Yeah. It's just really difficult. Like, you're going to put your opponent in a position where it's like, okay, well, I can take 4, or I could trump, or I could trade and they draw a card. And if like I said, I think, how do you feel about this in a non-black deck?
I think fine because of
Yeah.
Power Stones. I think this
Yeah,
is
I think
just
still
good.
fine. Yeah, still fine. But you'd like to have some black mana if you could.
Sure.
I think.
Yeah, but I think this is a B.
Yeah, I think so too. It's kind of fixed Skull Clan vibe sort of, but yeah, I think this is a fine card.
Yeah.
Next up, Gix Yawgmoth Praetor. 1 black for a 3/3. It's a mythic. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may pay 1 life. If they do, draw a card. So just when you hit your opponent, you can draw cards. It also has a 7 mana ability for black. Discard X cards, exile the top X cards of target opponent's library. You may play lands and cast spells from among those exiled cards without paying their mana costs.
Okay, that I don't understand. Yeah, also they draw a card. Wait.
No. That's why I clarify, because it's commander line of text.
Yeah. So this is just busted on turn 3.
It's just whenever one of your creatures hits your opponent, you can pay a life to draw a card. And it's not 1 or more. It's just like every creature you control. Yeah.
Yep.
The 7 mana ability makes sense. If you're accruing a bunch of cards, then it's not, you're gonna kill your opponent very quickly. But like you won't have the mana to cast all the cards, so you go, all right, pitch my 5 cards for 7 mana. I spin the wheel on your deck. So you're likely just like getting a mana advantage there.
Yeah.
Awesome card though.
Awesome card.
Yeah.
B plus.
Yeah, I think B plus.
Yeah.
You do need, evasion is helpful, but even still, like just whenever your opponent, whenever you have any good attack, drawing a single card off this is gonna be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Next is Fateful Handoff, 3 and a black for a sorcery. Draw cards equal to the mana value of target artifact or creature you control, and opponent gains control of that permanent. What?
Yeah, so you can draw 5.
But then they get your 5 drop?
Yeah, I wonder if there's like some weird way to break this, like just a thing that you don't care about giving to them. And off the top of my head.
You pair it with white or blue, and you give them your like Oblivion Ring or your pacifism.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, you only artifact your creature.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, now I don't know.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna say F on this one. Like maybe there's something cool we're missing about it, but
Unearth. Yeah, but that's a lot of mana, folks.
Yeah. True. Yeah, Unearth. That is funny. Well, cheap Unearth.
I'll go F on hand.
Okay.
Handoff. F is for Fateful Handoff.
Yeah, I think Unearth is the coolest thing you can do with it, but I don't think it's a particularly good thing.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we got Gixian Puppet, 3 and a black for a 4/3. Phyrexian Warlock at rare. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. And then it also says whenever the puppet dies, return another target creature with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So kind of playing in both the blue-black space and the white-black space.
I love this card.
Yeah, it's awesome. Just solid.
Does a lot.
It's Shieldred. No, not quite Shieldred, but it's still very
But it's
good.
a real reason to like push hard into one of these directions.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this is awesome. I would give this I'd give this another B plus.
Yeah, I just bump it up to the A- range. I think it's good enough.
Yeah. Next, Hostile Negotiations. 3 and a black for an instant. Exile the top 3 cards of your library in a face-down pile. Then exile the top 3 cards of your library in another face-down pile. Look at the cards in each pile. Then turn a pile of your choice face up. An opponent chooses one of those piles. Put that pile into the pile. Put that pile into your hand and the other 2 into your graveyard. The other 1 into your graveyard. You lose 3 life. It's a lot of words for a bad card.
Oh, bad card, you say?
Wow. I do say that.
Oh, well, okay, so why? I'm curious.
I'm like pretty skeptical of raw card draw in Magic these days, and especially
it loses you life.
Raw card draw that loses you life, and raw card draw that like I don't know. Like I guess the game is kind of fun here, but in general, even with incomplete information, your opponent getting a choice is worse than your opponent not getting a choice in Magic.
Yeah.
So all of that makes me not very happy about this card.
Okay, yeah, I maybe I just like read it and thought it was cool as it is. Yeah, I can see you being right. So maybe it's just not that good. It is fun though. It definitely is fun.
It's fun, yeah. I mean, like I forget the card, the like 4 mana 3/2 menace blue black that did the the reverse factor fiction type deal.
Atris, yeah.
Yeah, Atris, yeah. It's cute.
Okay.
But
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but I just don't. I'm not interested in this card. I basically want to give it an F.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a little harsh, but I think like D plus or something then. Sure.
Okay.
Next up, Gix's command. This is the black command here. 3 black for a sorcery. Choose 2. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 creature. It gains lifelink until end of turn. Destroy each creature with power 2 or less. Return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand, and each opponent sacrifices a creature with the highest power among creatures they control.
2. Okay, so the last mode is 100% like to be chosen.
Yeah, kill your opponent's biggest thing.
And then maybe kill a bunch of their small things. Maybe double raise dead. Maybe gain some life. Until I got to the last mode, I was like, this card stinks. But that last mode really bumps it over the top, I think.
Just imagine making your opponent sacrifice their best thing, and then you get your best things from back in the graveyard. Like that's a swing.
Or you sacrifice their best thing and then enable an attack with your best thing that now has lifelink.
Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, I mean this card's just good. It's just great. Like it's a lot of these commands we're gonna see are just gonna be like, yeah,
this is an A minus, yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yep. Okay. Next, we've got Painful Quandary. 3 black for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player loses 5 life unless they discard a card.
Yeah, not very good. This is
no.
Yeah, it comes down and your opponent can't discard cards or lose 5 life forever, but by the time this comes down, how many more cards is your opponent going to cast? Like 3, 4? They can probably discard a land or 2. It might be annoying because they have to like wait a turn to draw an extra card to play their card, but yeah, I don't think this card is particularly good. There's going to be game states where your opponent plays this and you're like, wow, that's like
I can't beat this card.
I can't beat this card. Yeah, yes. Exactly. Like against the control deck, this card is awesome. But against just like your average deck, I don't think it's very good. So maybe even just like a sideboard grade, but not a card you should be really looking at.
All right, last black rare here.
Ooh, a good one. Phyrexian Fleshgorger. 7 mana mythic. It's a 7/5 menace lifelink ward. Pay life equal to Phyrexian Fleshgorger's power. Prototype. 1 black 3/3. Oof.
I mean, this was like one of the first cards spoiled, so everyone's had a chance to see it. This card's an A. This card's very strong.
Fantastic. On both ends, too, right? Yeah. Just like 3/3 menace lifelink.
And this is one that non-black decks will be snapping up.
Oh yeah, 100%. Just absurdly good card.
Because honestly, like even sans Power Stones, this is a real threat.
Yes,
like 7 mana. It's like not aggressively costed, or not. It's not costed appropriately for the prototype. For like, oh, you can use Power Stones for this.
Right.
Yeah.
I almost want to give it like an A+. Like it stabilizes you. It probably kills your it has protection. I don't know. I think it's colorless.
I can mark it an A+ for you, my friend.
All right.
I have the power.
Put me on record as A+ for this one.
All right, brings us on to red. Mishra's command is up first. That's X and a red for a sorcery. Choose 2. Choose target player. They may discard up to X cards. Then they draw a card for each card discarded this way. This spell deals X damage to target creature. This spell deals X damage to target planeswalker. Target creature gets +X/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. So very likely the first 2 modes, I would say.
Yep.
This is obviously the worst that we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think so. The third mode just isn't going to come up very often. Dealing with planeswalkers, so it's you're kind of down a mode, right? Limited, compared to the other commands.
Well, and you're I guess you kill a thing, so it mitigates the card disadvantage that you get from the first mode. So you get some filtering.
It's still good though.
It's fine. I don't know. Good is a tough sell for me because you're likely trading up on whatever. If you're trying to kill a thing, you're likely spending more mana to kill the thing than your opponent spent on the thing, right?
Right. Yeah, because it's red and X. You're never getting a super efficient deal.
And then whatever, you get to pitch a land or 2 or an irrelevant spell or 2 or an unearth thing or 2. I'm not crazy about this. Yeah, I guess this card giving something haste for red. Let's see, maybe. I'm inclined to give this like a D+.
Wow, no, there's no way this is D+. Just straight up like sorcery speed, kill something for, not it's not gonna be a super efficient spell like you said, but just like the X spread kill something, that's like a C.
All right, a C.
Yeah, I think this is still like a C plus, like an okay removal spell with some utility.
All right.
Actually, you know what? Well, but the thing is, like, also you've got the mode of kill a thing, give my thing plus X, like your menace creature or something. Actually, with that, I think this is actually even better because remember, what was it called? The fight spell that you could cast for X, Primal Roar or something. It's like green X, give your creature plus X plus X.
Primal
and you
Might,
fight.
yeah.
Yeah, like it's not that far off of that card.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I think this card's actually pretty good.
All right, I'll go C plus on command.
Yeah, I'm gonna mark it down as a B. I think this card has enough utility, even though it is kind of missing a mode.
Yeah.
Next I've got Feldin Ranum Excavator. This is 1 red for 2/2 haste. Can't block, and when it's dealt damage, exile that many cards on the top of your library. Choose one of them until the end of turn. You may play that card.
End of your next turn.
Sorry, end of your next turn. So it's got the good wording.
Yeah. Weird. It's not like unplayable.
No,
I don't love a 2-mana 2/2 that can't block. I'm gonna tell you that.
I also
and
don't
that
like that.
Hopefully it's clear why I like the black 3/1 that can't block that comes back versus this.
Is there a way to ping this every turn or something?
That's cute.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually don't think this card's very good at all, though I'm reading it.
This I would like to give a D.
Yeah, I think just... Yeah, your opponent's going to block this. They can probably take a few hits and then block it when it's a profitable block. You get a card back, but... Yeah, I don't think it's a particularly good card. I would agree with D.
To answer a question, this can be dealt more than 2 damage. If this is blocked by a 6/6, it's dealt 6 damage.
Yep.
So then you get to look at 6.
A little bit of selection.
Yeah. Next is Brotherhood's End. 1 red for a sorcery. Choose one. It deals 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker, or destroy all artifacts with mana value 3 or less.
Flexible.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of tough. Like, how many red decks really want this effect? Probably not a ton.
Idea.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure Ethan will find one.
Sir, who, me?
Yes, I think you. Sir, Mr. Yosha over here.
Yeah.
It's a powerful little modal card, though.
Yeah.
If it's just the question is, do your decks want this card?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough because Alex declares war. I'm supposed to be the bully in this scenario. I hope people out there are gonna call out Alex on how he's torturing me. It's interesting because it's hard to imagine a state where if you're ahead, obviously you don't care about this being dead. Where you're not interested in one of these modes, you know?
Yeah, I think you're gonna find a spot.
I think you're gonna find a spot where you can get a little bit of value. So I don't even know how narrow it is. It's just I think you're right. Of a lot of these decks look linear is maybe not the right word, but so we were talking about pockets of synergy yesterday. But that a lot of these decks, it looks like all of your cards want to be pointing towards synergy or pointing towards a goal or an engine. And then obviously you need some tricks or some removal. But then something like this, with certainly a high ceiling but potentially a middling floor, I don't know about. Maybe sideboard grade, but it feels better than sideboard because of the modality.
Yeah, I think that this card is... Like, you're not going to first pick this card very often. I would imagine almost ever, unless you're like, have a really bad pack and you're like, well, I'll take this red controlling card. Yeah, I don't really want to give a super high grade to it, but I also don't want to give a low grade to it, you know?
How about, can I just in a C?
Yeah, like I was going to say, how about we just even it out, call it right in the middle, just smack dab C.
Yeah, I think I'll go C+. We'll probably just on balance, but yeah.
Sweet. All right, next up, we've got Draconic Destiny. 1 red for a mythic. It's an aura. A mythic aura. Weird. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has flying haste and colorless mana. This creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It's a dragon in addition to its other types. When the enchanted creature dies, you return Draconic Destiny to its owner's hand.
Interesting. I do love a good throw. Man, Can we just have a little trip down memory lane? You remember the embraces from Urza's Saga, like Shiv's embrace,
Oh, yeah,
Sarah's
sure.
embrace, Gaia's embrace.
Yep.
I just loved those cards.
Oh yeah.
I just thought this. Like, I was like, +2/+2 flying and vigilance to anything.
good, yeah.
Are you kidding me? I do love a little throwback to that. Tough, right? Because both blue and white have ways to lock down. Oh, and this specifically says dies. And so both blue and white have ways to lock down creatures without killing them. Black has an exile spell. Red has a damage spell that if it dies, you exile it. So a lot of ways to mitigate the potential recursive nature of Destiny. I truly don't know how to rate this card. My inclination is to rate it low.
I think this card is pretty good because if you just put it on a 2-drop or a 3-drop creature, your opponent has to deal with it. Like, it's absolutely have to. You're just going to kill them too quickly. And if they do find a way to deal with it, 50% of the time, it's going to be an actual kill spell. It actually kills it. So, yes, you can get punished with this, but I think it's high upside, and there's going to be some games that your opponent's just like, I can't deal with that thing. Like, if you ever go, I put it on my 2-drop, I attack it for 3, and they go, all right, I have to kill that. And then you put it on something else, and it's like, all right, I have to kill that. If they don't have the right answer, they're just dead.
Yeah. But
I think it's good. It's definitely got a floor, right?
It's got a floor.
You just want to land one when they're tapped out. Like, that's the key. You can't.
Right. You got to play this in a very mindful way, I would say.
Yes. So if you're doing that, I think it's a B.
Okay. I'll join you at B.
Okay. Next up, we've got Mechanized Warfare. 1 red for an enchantment. If a red or artifact source you control will deal damage to an opponent or a permanent they control, it deals that much +1.
Ooh.
I don't know if this is that good, though.
But
so it gives, like...
It does do a thing.
Certain magic cards do things.
How, yeah, what do we... I'm sure there's, like... I don't have quite a...
Like, what do we do here? What
can we do with this? Well, it's sort of like what you were saying with the 2/2, the can't block of, like, are there any pingers? Like, that's my first thought. Is like, so certainly, like, jumping 3 damage to 4 damage isn't that much, but jumping 1 to 2 is quite a lot.
It is.
Pendragon that pings. Oh yeah. You turn the sacrifice 2/3. Sack a thing.
Sure.
Gets +1/+1 and deals 1 to every turn. Deals 2 now.
Yeah, I guess.
Hello.
It's generally going to give your red creatures and your artifact creatures +1/+0, and that's just like pretty medium.
I mean, that just seems like, so rude to me.
Come on, Alex.
No, you're right. You're right. This is bad. This is a D.
Yeah, this is not a good card. I think if it's like half of an anthem, and it's just not good enough.
Next
is your burn spells, but not good enough. Yeah.
Yeah, next is Visions of Phyrexia, 2 red for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. At the beginning of your end step, if you didn't play a card from exile this turn, create a tapped Power Stone token. Oh my god, it's Treasure Trove.
Yeah, Treasure Trove, exactly.
Or Trove of Temptation, I guess is what it's called.
Oh yes. The red makes your you make man. Yeah. Great card. I think this card's pretty good.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah, I do like the not punished for deciding not to cast something or not wanting to cast something or play something from exile. Again,
also the way
and you immediately get the Power Stone.
And the way it's worded is that if you have an instant to play, you can actually go blast trigger resolves. I get a Power Stone, cast my instant. You get best of both worlds.
But you also, I was just about to be like, well, I don't like these 4-mana things that don't do anything until your next turn, but you will get the Power Stone on end step.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly. It's just like it's basically ETB make a Power Stone too. Yeah. So this card's good.
I think this card is good. Yeah.
Yep. Cool. So what do you want to give this one?
I think I want to give it a B-.
Yeah, and the difference too. There's like a difference between this and like the Anchor that we talked about. Where 1, this is a lot cheaper. 2, red decks tend to have cheaper cards, so you can take
Mhm.
advantage of drawing multiples per turn, and just like this generates a resource right away. So it just does enough different things or enough more things than the anchor does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I give it a B.
All right, just straight up B.
This next one, just kind of ridiculous. This is Tyrant of Kara Ridges. This is 4 red for a 4/5 flying dragon at rare. When it enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to any target, and it's got red. Tyrant of Kara Ridge gets +1/+0 till end turns. Fire breathing.
Wow.
It almost feels like a core set card, right? It's just like
Right, just
pretty
like
simple.
big dumb, powerful 2-for-1.
Kill a thing or kill your opponent. Yeah, this is just an A.
Yeah.
It could almost A+, honestly. Just like comes and stabilizes you.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic card.
Next is Over the Top. 5 red for a sorcery. Each player reveals a number of cards from the top of their library equal to the number of non-land permanents they control. Puts all permanent cards they revealed this way onto the battlefield and puts the rest into their graveyard.
Will you be doing this, Ethan?
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's a weird red chaos card.
It's so like I like weird cards like this, but something I really don't like in Magic is randomness. Like my goal is to mitigate. I want as much control over what's happening, and so I want to just know that I'm to blame for the situation I'm in. You know.
Yeah.
But this I'm not interested in, so I'm just gonna give this an F.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you can ignore it. It's a opponent card, but you don't have to do anything with it in most of your drafts. Last red card here, Skitterbeam Battalion. It's our red mythic prototype card. So it's 9 mana for a 4/4, trample haste. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, create 2 tokens that are copies of it.
God.
Holy. The prototype cost is 3 red for 2/2. So it's like 9 mana, 3/4/4 trample haste, or 5 mana, 2/2/2 trample haste.
Yeah, this. Oof. So it's interesting. I mean, obviously, 3 2/2s for 5 is good. Trample and haste a little less like exciting there. The 9 mana cost here is incredible.
It's all good stuff.
It's all good stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'll knock it a little bit for being so expensive, but I think it's hard for me to imagine not taking this when I see it.
Yeah, I think this is just an A.
Yeah.
Yep.
Woo. All right, home stretch. Well, mini home stretch here as we move on to green, and then we'll pause before the retro artifacts. Teething Wormlet is first. Single green for a 1/1. Has death touch as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. Whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. If this is the first time this ability is resolved this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Teething Wormlet.
Wow, that's really good. Holy, actually, I read this card before. I didn't realize exactly how good this was. So 1 mana, 1/1 death touch if you have Metalcraft, but it just grows so quickly and gains you life.
Yep.
Holy, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's very hard for this to not be like a B.
Yeah, I think this is probably. I would even just like bump it up to B- or sorry, B+ or A-. I think that this is just like another one of those like cheap cards that just gets out of hand so quickly.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
Next up, we got Awaken the Woods. So this is X green for sorcery, mythic. Create X 1/1 green forest dryad land creature tokens. So these are dryad arbors for people familiar with those. So basically, they're just like these like forests that they tap for mana, but they also have summoning sickness. They're also creatures. So almost like Land of War Elves, if you just want to look at it like that.
This does not seem like a card for us.
I think it's okay. So if you're just looking at just like base like token rate, you're making 4 for 2 1/1s. That's not good. 3 for 3 or 5 for 3 1/1s. That's also like not great. Once you get to like 6 for 4 1/1s, you're like, okay, you're actually just making a bunch of stuff. And then this is a set where you're casting your 8 and 9 drops some of the time, right?
But your 8 and 9 drops are artifacts. Your 8 and 9 drops can be cast off of Power Stones.
But this gets you there in one hit. You don't need to like be like, okay, I drew 3 Power Stones. Like you just automatically get there. Like I think there's gonna be a lot of draws. As much as 2 tokens for 4 mana is not great, you then have you untap and you've got 7 mana, right? That's really powerful. Well, just like you draw this late game and you're just like, all right, dump like 7 mana into this thing or 8 mana.
I'm surprised that you're higher on this card than I am, because this seems like a card that you, from what I know about you, will like never play.
Really? Wow, that's surprising to me. No, I don't think so. I think that this is a card that like I don't think if you don't have any expensive stuff or any ways to like use the mana, I agree. It's like just a little bit too below rate. But the fact that like it's not that below rate on the token making side, and it's just like super, super high upside.
Interesting. So yeah, I don't know. I'm every point of the curve that I look at this card, I think that it's clunky.
I don't know. I just imagine this: your opponent casts on turn 5. Aren't you gonna go be like, oh crap?
Maybe. So
I don't know.
Can I ask you to compare this to 3 mana 3/2 make a Power Stone?
I think this is a little bit better. Not a ton, but that's a really good card. I do think this is a little bit better just because it does scale and it can really go over the top.
Interesting. My gut is that this is markedly worse.
Yeah, no, I think just like because it's good on both sides, right? Like it's a good place to put all your mana, and it's good when you need mana.
But why is it a good place to put all your mana?
You draw this in the late game, and you're like, oh great, sync. I make
seven mana for 5/1/1s, but like
that's good.
Who cares about your 5/1/1s?
No, that's good. That's good. You can start attacking all. You can you can double block. You can chump like that. That's just a lot of modularity.
Okay. All right, so grade this for me.
I would give it a B. I think it's that good.
I'm gonna go C- on this.
All right, yeah,
I do not like this card.
We'll see.
All right, next up we have an oldie, and I don't know if it's a goodie. Fauna Shaman is 1 in a green for a 2/2 elf shaman. You pay green, tap, discard a creature card, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle.
I do think it's a goodie. I think this is a pretty good card. Not a busted card, but a good card. The dream is discarding an unearthed card to go get your best card.
Ooh,
and that's,
yeah.
Not gonna happen that infrequently. Like just always having access to your best cards, even if you have to pay an additional mana. That's quite good.
Well, and especially if so much of your deck is built around ramping towards a couple of things, another way to find those couple of things is quite nice, attached to, a body that affects the board.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like in the buyout
just
of
discard the clay stat, the black, the 1/2 that recurs. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, there you go.
That's pretty sweet. All right. Maybe I'll go C+ on Fawn Shaman.
Oh, I'd even bump it up there. I would just give it a B. I think it's just good enough.
Sweet.
Yeah. Next up, we've got Gwenna, Eyes of Gaia. 2 in a green for a 2/3 legendary elf druid scout. Tap, add 2 mana in any combination of colors. Spend this mana only to cast creature cards or activate abilities of creatures or creature cards. Weird wording there. Whenever you cast a creature spell with power 5 or greater, you put a +1/+1 counter on Gwenna and you untap her.
Again, I don't think this is for us. That's my take.
I very much disagree on that one. Like, you're not happy about 3 mana dork that double ramps you for your giant creatures?
No, I don't think it's like I don't think it's bad. I'm not giving it as low a grade as Awake in the Woods, but I am like, no, this is good. This is good.
Okay, come around on it.
Yeah, this is okay. This is good. This is
okay, sweet.
B- B- range.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay, great. I'm glad I could convince you after that really long talk we had. All right, what's up? Next.
Simian Simulacrum is 3 mana for a 2/1 ape. It enters the battlefield. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on target creature you control. It's got Unearth for 2 GG.
Wow. Yeah, just stats.
Yeah.
Right? 4/3 worth of stats on the front side.
Poor green players are not going to be able to snap this up.
Yeah.
I don't think you care about the Unearth cost here.
Yeah, no, that's the
thing. This is just colorless 3 mana 4/3 or 3 mana 2/1 with 2 haste counters. Like, this card is great.
Yeah, that's, we actually haven't really talked about that, but one of the dynamics in this set is that your first pick is just going to make your deck so much of the time, right? Because, even if you can't unearth this or you can't cast a prototype on some of these cards, you're just going to end up with this powerful card in your deck. So, I don't want to, be a naysayer or doom and gloomer here, but, you might just be facing, a lot of rares a lot of the time because so much of the time when people first pick their rare, it's going to make it into their deck.
I agree.
Yeah. So back to Simian Simulacrum here. Great card. Just good on rate, good stats. If you can unearth it, fantastic. If you can't, it's still pretty decent.
I agree. B+.
Yep, I like that.
Okay.
All right. Next up, we got Fade from History. So this is 2 green for a sorcery. Each player who controls an artifact or an enchantment makes a 2/2 green bear creature token. Then you destroy all artifacts and enchantments.
I don't really want to do this.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I want to have
either.
artifacts.
So if you somehow make a deck where you don't have a lot of artifacts or enchantments, this card is really good. Like it's gonna be a field wipe for your opponent's stuff a lot of the time.
Right.
It's just like how often will your deck just not
so
have that
hard
many
to
artifacts or
imagine
enchantments?
do it. Like so hard to
Right.
imagine that you're not giving up on way too much.
Yep.
To make this one card potentially good.
Yeah, I like what chat says. Is your deck good then, though? If you have no artifacts, yeah. I think that if you do have some artifacts and enchantments still, it's still just like a field wipe that you're gonna get a bear, your opponent's gonna get a bear, almost certainly. I think it's very rare that nobody's gonna get a bear on this card, so you're like even there. So you could just play like destroy all artifacts and enchantments. I don't think that card would be awful. I don't think it would be great, but it does become an actively good card if somehow you've got a lot of good cards that aren't enchantments or artifacts. I don't know how often it's gonna happen though.
Yeah. I've been throwing out grades a lot. You tell me, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the fact that I don't think I'm going to be first picking this card definitely like bumps it down for me. If you see it in the middle of the pack, you can take it, and it's probably going to be like one of the lesser cards in your deck, so it's probably like a C minus probably.
Okay, C minus sounds good. I think I'm just going to say sideboard, honestly.
Sure, yeah, that's totally fine.
Our next up is Perennial Behemoth. It's 5 mana for a 2/7 beast. You may play lands from your graveyard. It has Unearth for green.
Weird card. Super strange card.
Yeah.
I don't think this is very good. It's a 2/7 for 5, which blocks all day, I guess, but the ability is pretty marginal. Like,
yeah, Evolving Wilds.
Evolving Wilds or some self-mill. If you got a land off this, like if you get a land off this, are you even that happy? It's like 5 mana, 2/5, 2/7, draw a land.
No, I'm not that happy. This is like
a
a D.
I think this is like a D or closer. It's closer to an F almost. It's just not that good. Next one though is very good. This is Rootwire Amalgam. This is 5 mana for our green mythic prototype card. 5 mana, 5/5. It's got an ability 3 green. Sacrifice the amalgam and create an XX colorless golem artifact creature token where X is 3 times Rootwire Amalgam's power. It gains haste until end of turn. Activate this only as a sorcery. Prototype cost is 1 green for a 2/3.
5 mana, 5/5, 2 mana, 2/3. Pay 5 mana, sack it. Make an XX golem where X is 3 times. So 5 mana, 5/5, and then you can pay 5 sack it to make a 15/15 with haste, or 2 mana, 2/3. Then you're paying 5 mana to make a 6/6 with haste.
Yep. Either is good.
Either is
great. 15/15 is just gigantic. But they're gonna need some specific removal. Damage based removal won't kill it. Fights won't kill it. So yeah, card's just good.
Yeah, I think this is like a B+.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay. And our last green rare is Titania's Command. 4 green for a sorcery. Choose 2. Exile target player's graveyard. You gain 1 life for each card exiled this way. Search your library for up to 2 land cards. Put them onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Create 2 2/2 green bear creature tokens. Put 2 +1/+1 counters on each creature you control. Wow.
Wild. Just wildly powerful.
So yeah, modes 3 and 4 most likely.
This is the best command.
Wow.
At least it has the biggest effect. You know?
Yeah, I mean, baseline it's 6 mana, make 2 4/4s.
Plus other counters on your other
Plus
creatures.
other counters. Yeah. Good lord. All right, that's an A.
This is an A.
Yeah. All right. There we go.